and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 423 for the 423 for the week of. We're going back in time. Week of October 15th, 2019. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Jim.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Toby is apparently off watching the
Jan Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, what is it? The Fandango? No, what is it?
Fathom event.
Fathom event.
Fandango.
That's where you buy your tickets.
Yeah, the Fathom event of Jan Silent Bob Strike Back. So I'm sure we'll see
and
him.
You're not there,
Reboot.
Ryan. I'm shocked.
I mean,
as a diehard Kevin
camped
Smith
out,
fan.
Camped out, and I already saw it. So yeah, no.
He's waiting for the road show.
I'm sure I'll see it when it's like out on Netflix or whatever. Like, sure, yeah. I don't.
When he buys it on Black Friday.
No. I'll watch it for free though. What the hell are we talking about this week?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
We got some news. We got some store news as well. We actually have a number of things. Store
news.
Yeah.
Good intro.
We have a couple things here. One, it's very timely. We're having a sale this weekend. If you're around, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come down to Comics Conspiracy. We're having our October sale, which usually goes pretty well.
Sale.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I'm flying on Saturday.
You'll be here Friday.
I'll be here Friday.
Yeah.
We'll be here Friday for a few hours.
But I like staying for the sales. They're fun to work. They're fun to hang out and stuff. And we get all kinds of people through here on the sales.
Yep. Yeah, Friday should be good. Friday should be busy. So if you're around Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Lots of used trades.
What we've done in the past, we've sometimes ran online deals as well. We're going to be doing it the weekend after the sale, the Friday, Saturday after the sale. So next weekend, we're going to have an online coupon as well that you can use on our store site, which just gives you a very similar discount. So if you do mail order stuff, you can order on there. If you're on our news group, our newsletter, just look for that, or on social media, we'll have all the info on that next week. But if you're local, come down to the store Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Second, I didn't know this was going to be announced just kind of out of the middle of nowhere, so we'll have it actually up for pre-order very, very soon. But we are doing our first in a while. I think the last one we did was the Walking Dead cover back last year. We're doing our first in quite some time store exclusive variant cover, and that is for Charles Soule and Scott Snyder's Undiscovered Country #1. It's coming out in a couple of weeks from Image Comics. The variant cover is by Raphael Albuquerque, who Scott worked with on American Vampire.
Yep.
So very, very excited. Cover's great. We posted it on... Well, Scott Snyder actually tweeted it out. He tweeted out all the variant covers, and every store was like, the fuck? Like, I guess this is out now. Okay. We're getting the finalized cover with the logo and everything. We actually have two versions. Two versions, a virgin cover and then the regular cover.
Now, did Image make this like really hard to get, or is it a reasonable one?
No, super reasonable.
Nice.
Yeah. So the main cover is limited to 1,000 copies. Virgin cover is limited to 500 copies. It's going to be $9.99 for the main cover, $19.99 for the Virgin. There's going to be a bundle of both cover, one of each cover.
It's always really weird when you give a price and say Virgin.
For $24.99 for if you want both covers, both versions. Hopefully, I can announce something else soon. We'll find out more about that later. But for now, that'll be up. My hope is it's up tomorrow. As we're recording, FOC is already finalized. Everything's already been pushed. Orders have already been accepted. Hoping I get the finalized art tomorrow, in which case we'll put the book up for pre-order immediately. I just didn't want to put it up without the text and everything. Yeah. I want to have people understand that there are two different versions. So look for that at comicsconspiracy.biz. Of course, we'll have it on Facebook and Twitter and everything like that. They're scheduled to ship, I believe, first week in November, so really soon. So that's super, super exciting. I haven't done one of these guys for a while, so
cool.
I'm super excited for the book itself. Like, it sounds like a really, really good book.
Yep. So really want to see what the heck is going on here with Undiscovered Country. We got to read the first issue because they sent out a preview copy, and it was pretty fun. So it's clearly this is a big book for them. Already been signed for a movie or TV deal or something like that. Yeah. So there's already talk of before it even came out. Clearly their Images.
What's the total number of store covers that are out there? Do you know?
There's quite a few. I've seen at least like 6 or 8. so far.
That's not so bad.
And there's probably more than that.
Okay.
But this is good. This is going to be a big book for Image. Cool. Really big. I mean, they're, it sometimes is a little disingenuous when they're like, the next Walking Dead, but this might be.
Yeah.
They're it's a good creative team.
Well, they've been doing these postcard release things for it. So like they did like Greetings from Indiana, Idaho.
Oh, okay.
There's one from California. I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
These look it's really the concept is super interesting.
Yeah.
So based on the store exclusive covers and stuff, I'm guessing it will be in the top 10. Do you think it will be in the top 5 for the month?
Undiscovered Country? Mm-hmm. Oh, it'll be number 1.
Okay.
For November, what else? I mean, it's
was it Fighting 2099?
Maybe
Marvel 2099.
One of the X-Men might beat it, but New Mutants is coming out before, right? X-Men and New Mutants are both this month. I mean, X-Men's today.
Yeah. Well, the X-Men's today.
New Mutants we already did.
Well,
so that's no. New Mutants is the same. New Mutants is actually I think the same week as Undiscovered Country. Because we did FOC yesterday. Yeah. I can't imagine New Mutants beats it. Undiscovered Country has to be number 1. I would think it. Nothing that I FOC'd yesterday, I can imagine beating it.
Unless there's a New Mutants Rob Liefeld limited cover, so that might go with it or something.
Rob Liefeld has exited Marvel.
You think so? Yeah, after all that?
He's taking a break, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's pretty much
I think he's been putting time out.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's too busy just getting into fights on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know what else would. I don't know that anything that would
nothing
beat
big.
It.
Nothing big.
I mean,
coming to mind.
There is, right? I mean, the DC has some big stuff coming out that tells the multiverse, but I don't like dollar amount high, but unit wise.
I don't want to inspire you to open up old sales charts, so I'm just going to ask off the top of your head, when's the last time an Image book was number 1 for a month?
Well, Spawn 300.
Oh, okay.
Other than
that,
I think The Walking Dead. It must have been The Walking Dead, the 15th anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure that was number 1. It had to have been when they did the 15th anniversary because that sold a shitload of copies.
The black boxes, the black bags. You mean?
Well, the I think like the number 1, like the 15th anniversary. Well, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It did sell a lot though. Maybe it wasn't number 1. I don't know. It's been a while.
Forcing him to open up some charts.
Yeah, I can look back. I'm not sure when the last time an Image one would have been number 1. No. And none of those were Spawn ones.
I guess we'll find out coming soon.
I would think it's top 5 for sure. Yeah. I would think number 1. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So check out our site when that goes up. That'll be soon. There you go. We're going to do some we got some comic movie news to talk about here.
Is it DC related?
Some of it is. We will talk Joker real quick here. We had our big Joker episode last week. Let me get my numbers. Here we go. Box Office Mojo. Joker number 1. Movie again, second week in a row.
Well, what was it up against?
$55 million second weekend, which is the 43% drop, which is very, very low. It was the largest October second week ever. The most previous was Gravity at $43.2 million. So back in 2013. So huge numbers for Joker, way outperforming what they thought.
I'm just shocked that Gravity was all the way back in 2015.
Me too. Yeah.
120.
Didn't seem like it was that long ago.
$123 million from international marks.
I heard it's been doing really good
for the second week. Yeah. So as of this past weekend, it was $543 million. Currently, as of recording Tuesday, it's $556.
That's double.
The conversation we had. What's that?
That's double what it was last week.
Yeah.
Last week it was like 253, 254 million, something like that.
Yeah, but that's just the weekend last week versus a full week plus the weekend.
Plus weekend. Yeah, but still, that's
good. Yeah,
we are fastly approaching Justice League numbers, which it should hit this weekend, I would think. If not, maybe sooner.
You're never going to approach in-game numbers, though.
No, there's a few. outlets.
Yeah, but the budget for this movie was so small.
It was like a fifth of Endgame's budget, or like a sixth of Endgame's
I agree.
budget.
I agree.
It has made 10 times its production budget. That is humongous.
Yeah.
Okay. There are some outlets that have said this, depending on how the next few openings do in some of the other markets, and if the international numbers keep up, this has a crazy chance at $1 billion, which we were talking before, which is, I mean, Kevin, you said $500 million is there's partying.
They're already popping champagne.
Yeah.
At 200 million, they would be popping champagne, and I'm talking about worldwide.
And that's opening. That's like opening weekend in a couple days.
What was the budget? Like 55?
Yeah.
55 million?
I think it was
55 to
box
60,
floating
right?
around.
Right.
The
Box office
number.
says 55 for production.
All right, so
budget,
55. So
we're,
Now you
we're at
go
10 times.
now with that. You would say, well, that's expensive for a quote unquote regular drama.
Yeah.
But that is cheap for a comic book movie.
Right, and regular dramas don't make half a billion dollars.
Yes,
right. They make $80 million or
Hey,
whatever.
I'm going to tweet a question to the group based on this topic. If you could, or not you personally have to, but I mean, if you could wave a wand and a solo, standalone, disconnected to anything else villain movie was going to be made next,
Marvel or DC or either.
what villain would you do? It doesn't even have to be the tone of Joker. I just mean a villain without any superhero involvement.
Singular or team?
Singular.
Damn it.
I mean, the easy answer is so many of the Bat villains, just because they're so
Pick one.
so unique. But I don't want to go there. I mean, Lex is the obvious answer. A solo Lex Luthor movie would be.
Oh, that would be so boring.
Incredible.
God, that would be so boring.
Would it? Oh, it'd be fascinating.
He's got
We
nothing.
already got that with Smallville.
He's got nothing. No, not a Lex
What?
movie.
Oh,
No.
I know what I'll pick while everybody else is thinking. I have to go Bat villain though, but Clayface.
Yeah.
Because
That'd be a good one.
I think
Yeah.
you could string together all the versions of Clayface as one character, have him start out as the vain actor
Yeah.
with the disguises,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then transform himself into the Blob.
I mean, it could become like a straight horror movie.
Yeah.
At the end. That's good.
Clayface is good. And with today's today's technology, oh, that would be awesome. That would be really good.
Magneto would be too easy.
Yeah.
Remember when they were going to do that Magneto
Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
and Wolverine Origins bombed so
Yeah.
hard? Well, I don't even know. And to that, I mean, it didn't.
It was reviled besides it bombing. That's the combination you don't want.
I mean, the reviews were bad, but I'm sure.
Well, that and it got leaked ahead of time, and like it just was surrounded
Yeah,
by.
it made $373 on a $150 million budget. Yeah, it's
that's-
not.
But that's not a bomb.
No, it's not a bomb, but that's not what you want.
Brock, who's your villain?
They were aiming for the.
Don't say Harley.
No.
Kingpin could work too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
I think Kingpin and Lex Luthor are very similar in tone and where they were going. But that's cool. I love like the fights in the boardroom and just him growing up, and especially if they do the Smallville origin where Clark is there, but sort of like in the background, right? You don't really.
What I was trying to think of is who would be interesting enough without needing the hero's involvement.
Yeah, Catwoman's an obvious answer. We may get that Black Cat movie.
Yeah?
If that happens, she could be good. It should be a fun crime romp. Like, it wouldn't have to be...
Be like the Darwin Cook run.
Yeah, it wouldn't have to be anything... For Catwoman or Black Cat, both of those, like, they wouldn't have to be anything super serious. They could be...
You could
they
very
be kinda
easily
light
do a
and fun.
Deathstroke.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
Deathstroke,
Yeah,
Terminator,
yeah.
not need
Yeah,
any
yeah,
hero
yeah.
involvement
Yeah, yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, a fair amount, like Captain Cold.
I think...
Deadshot.
I think some of the more
Ding dong,
powered
ding dong.
characters. Let's turn it off. I think some of the more powered. I kick it out. I think some of the more powered characters makes it more difficult. I think the more down to earth people, it's easier. It's more understandable to have a solo movie on because Deathstroke exists in a world without superheroes if he wants to. He's just a dude.
But you could also
ignore.
But Sinestro was around long before Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
you could
trust
do
me.
You could do a Sinestro.
I would kill for a Sinestro origin movie. Okay. Huh?
Mark Strong?
Yes, of course, Mark Strong.
Yeah.
I would kill for a Sinestro
I
origin
think is
movie.
like the Flash Rogues. I'm trying to imagine, Brock, you said Captain Cold. Would you want to see like the guy doing ice heists with no superhero? Like the cops are trying to catch him.
Yeah, it wouldn't
But
work.
the thing is, like, it's more like tech, right? That's where he's dealing with the
Rogue's Ocean 11.
That would be cool.
Oh, that
Just,
would be so
but
cool.
I mean, the Flash exists. He's
Just
just
not in the
gone,
movie?
right? I mean, I could see them in a world where the heroes already
They could
exist.
spin that out of Crisis on Infinite Earths from CW.
Yeah. Anyway, Joker, big numbers.
Black Adam. Black Adam.
We might get that.
Black Adam was around long before
Yeah.
the superheroes, long before Captain Marvel showed up.
Can
I'm
we
sorry,
get his,
Shazam.
Oh, I got one for
Good as
Ryan.
Scorpion King.
I got one for Ryan. Bizarro.
I mean, I would
With
love
no
that.
Superman.
I would love that. No one would watch it.
Well, would you want Bizarro World, or would
course.
you want him like his rocket lands here?
No, I want Bizarro World. I want everyone talking backwards and making no sense, and the audience is just like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Oh god, that movie would just give you a
That'd
headache.
be so good. Zimbaro could be in it.
Oh, yeah. Like Zabaro crash lands
Yeah,
on Bizarro,
on Bizarro
and
World,
we've
yeah.
lost half the audience.
Yeah,
right now.
They're just out.
Yeah.
Like it would bomb, but it would be the greatest movie of the year.
You have characters like Zaz.
Yeah,
You
I could see them.
You could do a Zaz movie.
You could do. You
Like
could
I
do,
said, any of those like more down to earth DC
ones,
guys.
You could do a Mixelplick. And you can do a Mixelplick animation with no Superman at all.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but
And on the
that-
Marvel side, you could do Impossible Man. But he's not really a villain. He's just
Force of nature.
like a permanent teenager.
Yeah. Could you do Cheetah without Wonder Woman?
yes. If you focus mainly on her origins and stuff, absolutely.
Oh, we're gonna get that. So, the other
I
big,
can finally get my Tomb of Dracula.
the other big
Awesome.
movie news before we
So
move
a
on
Dracula
to
movie.
a couple
Another one?
comic things. Kevin Feige,
Kevin F.
who was the head of Marvel Marvel Studios. Sorry, created the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is now the chief creative officer of Marvel Studios, and all of Marvel is being restructured, including Marvel Studios, Marvel TV, Marvel Family Entertainment, which is its animation division, and Marvel Comics.
Isn't that similar to the title that Jeff Johns had over at
It
DC?
is the exact same title Jeff Johns had at DC. Yep. No longer, but he had before the big restructure.
It is the former Joe Quesada job, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think.
What happened to Quesada?
But these were not all under Marvel Studios.
No, I mean
before.
the Marvel Comics title that Kevin
Right.
Feige now has
Right.
is the Joe former title.
Yeah, Joe Quesada is going to continue as the executive vice president and creative director, but chief creative officer is going to be Kevin Feige, and CCO's big. I mean, he's the head of Marvel now. Everything Marvel Comics, TV, every part of Marvel is now under him.
You put 11 years into a movie universe and turned out so much freaking money. Yeah, why not? What else can we give him?
Honestly,
have to
I'm
give
just
him a
sitting here
job.
going, when they first started, there was a lot more collaboration between Marvel Comics and the movies, and then he got rid of that collaboration, and now he's just...
I'm gonna read directly from Newsarama because they do a good breakdown of the senior staff of Marvel. So this is at Newsarama.com. In his new position, Joe Quesada will report to Marvel Entertainment President Dan Buckley, who's been there for quite some time now. Marvel Entertainment's Vice President of Content and Character Development, Sana Amant, Chief and Head of Global Editorial, C.B. Cebulski, who's Editor-in-Chief of Marvel Comics, and Stephen Wacker, who's the Vice President and Creative and Content Development, who was at DC, and then wasn't he at Marvel Animation for a while?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So they're all going to continue in their roles, also reporting to Dan Buckley. Buckley will continue overseeing Marvel Comics directly. Previously, he reported directly to Ike Perlmutter. That is no longer the case. He will now report to both Perlmutter and Feige, depending on the aspects of Marvel comic business. Do we think Perlmutter's on his way out?
That'd be an expensive exit because Perlmutter's a majority shareholder of Marvel.
He he's a major shareholder within Disney now.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm saying, like, when you say is he out the door, you mean like cut loose from the company and
I
gone?
mean, could Disney be finding him a nice corner office somewhere
Sure.
to let him
Is this guy we
Do
don't
whatever
like?
he
Is
wants.
This the guy we don't like?
He's worked with Trump and he's
He's the D-bag we don't like.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was working on the what was he working
Give
with?
me an event or something
The
that he
Trump
screwed up. Or
administration.
I'm
Veterans Affairs,
bankruptcy?
right? The VA.
Yeah.
He was working with the VA under Trump. I don't even know. Is he still involved in
Well,
that?
I mean,
don't.
he's also why a lot of the editorial decisions have. Well, I can't say with 100% certainty, but it seemed highly suggested that a lot of the editorial decisions about not being able to include certain statements in forwards
in the FF and X-Men,
Yeah.
right? I mean, pre the Fox buyout and pre the last couple of years,
Yeah.
Perlmutter was allegedly responsible for being like, nope, if we don't own it, we're not promoting it, right? Which
Wow.
led to the death of
now I don't
the
like
comics and the toys and all that
now
stuff.
I don't like him because that decimated the freaking FF and decimated the freaking X-Men for a long time.
Yeah. Where was I? Buckley will continue overseeing Marvel Comics. Oh, there we go. Buckley will report to Feige regarding publishing and creative and editorial, according to Newsrama. While Perlmutter will oversee Buckley's control of publishing operations, sales, creative services, games licensing, and events. Jeff Loeb and John Nee, who is the publisher of Marvel, were not mentioned in the reports. And Feige will continue to report to Alan Horn and Alan Bergman at Disney. So, who then report to what's his face?
Iger.
Sure, head guy at Disney.
Iger.
Bob Iger, thank you.
Bob Iger.
It's like
So
Iger.
this is a big move. I mean, fears I think from people are that the comics will not resemble the movies, right?
Well,
They
we
want.
already have that.
We had that before.
Yeah. Here, let's have a Siri comic.
Let's change the X-Men's costumes to black leather. Let's
do a
No,
Guardian.
I mean that's not. That's not
Let's
from.
do Guardians like the movie.
Well, so again, there's some of that, right? But when Avengers is coming out, the Avengers is unrecognizable as the Avengers, especially the characters in the show, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
Other characters in the
we
movie.
also saw launches of new Avengers titles to make it closer to resemble, like during the, I want to say, Heroic Age, they did a little bit of...
And I have no problem with.
Yeah.
See, I think there's a nice middle ground between Dan Didio's we have to do the exact opposite of the movies, and what the fear of Marvel is that we're just going to copy the movies and everything will be exactly like the movies. There is a nice middle ground. You should still have the comics be independent, and the comics are what the movies are based on. You don't base the comics on the movies.
Right.
The comics are the original material.
Comics are the source material.
Right. However, there should be a Birds of Prey comic coming out when the Birds of Prey movie is out, like they're doing. There should be a lot of Joker material on the stand when the Joker movie's out, like they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
When the Spider-Man Spider-Verse book comes out, the Spider-Verse book should have been out then, not now. Right?
I'm really glad that you brought that up because I don't think we would have ever got that Joker omnibus ever.
No.
Except for the Joker movie coming out, and we finally got it.
Yep. DC was always very bad about this. They seem a little bit better now.
They're getting a lot better. They're
The
a lot
Shazam
better.
comic came
Yeah.
out when the Shazam movie came out, right?
Yep.
And this is not like they're not copying the movies, but it's just here's another.
Here's the material. You went to the
here's
movie.
more material. Yeah.
Here's the material. You went to the movie. If you want to read, you can read it. Like when Guardians came out, 6 months prior, we were getting people asking for that material.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
took
like
took
it's out of
forever.
print. It's out of print. It's out of print.
Right.
Was it a month after the movie came out?
No,
Is when they
months
finally,
after, yeah.
when they
Yeah, it
finally
was,
dropped like the first trade.
Yeah.
But the interest was completely and utterly gone.
Right. So
I wouldn't say gone, but yes, it was not at the level it was.
And give credit, Ryan, to DC's 12-dimensional chess. And that the Shazam comic will resume when Shazam 2 comes out. See, like this marketing, you just can't see the big plan.
So what
Damn
are we on the
you.
Doomsday Clock countdown now?
Well, they were
TikTok,
holding Doomsday
TikTok.
Clock back to the end of the Watchmen show on Netflix or on Netflix, right? They want is it Netflix? HBO.
HBO.
They wanted to make sure if they had issue in the can for the launch. So When is that? That's soon, huh? That's next couple weeks.
Right.
This week.
Is it this week?
I think it's this Sunday.
No.
Didn't it start this past Sunday?
No, it didn't start
No,
yet.
it didn't? I thought it did.
I believe it's this coming
No,
Sunday.
reviews were out, but yeah, no. Shit, I thought I saw it another week. Oh, so many shows. Arrow starts this week, too. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, big news for Marvel. We'll see where this goes. I'm not too worried. If anything, to me, this is putting a lot more eyes on Marvel Comics, but not in a bad way. This should lead to more output, more the strengthening of the brand, more push to get comics. Marvel has a huge line of all ages and more kid-friendly stuff that's starting up now. They've had to deal with Scholastic. They're doing some novels and a lot more books. And obviously Disney's great at this stuff, right? Finding the right people for this. This is Disney's bread and butter when it comes to books.
Well, I'm just waiting for the comic book store that they're going to open in Disney in California.
They already sell comics. They've been selling them for a while.
But they're going to open when they finish the They should just have a straight comic book store.
No, they never would.
Just see, he's in denial. It's going to happen.
No. I mean, sure they could. I mean, they could open a comic store in like downtown Disney or like Disney Springs. That'd be the thing that makes sense.
They're going to tap Ryan and go, Ryan,
but
could you design us a comic book store in Disneyland?
Oh, that'd be amazing. But there's no need to. They have all this stuff. I mean, who the hell's going to Disneyland to buy a comic book? Nah, they have stuff there, right? I mean, they do. They do have some single issues and have a nice little stack of graphic novels. But again, think of it like a bookstore versus a comic book store.
Right.
They're going to have a handful of stuff that might move some.
Well, they'll have trades and merchandising versus
exactly
issues.
right.
And if they have
It's
single
totally
issues, it'll
different.
be
The Disneyland exclusive.
It'll just be like
They did.
I'm sure they do.
I got all the Haunted Mansion exclusive covers.
bet you do.
I did. So yeah, this is obviously it'll be quite a while before we really see where this goes. I am not too concerned. I don't think this is going to the death of Marvel. They're going to shut it down.
Are we going to bring up the move?
Well, that was a question we had posed before that I want to see if this is something that we think could possibly happen. Marvel Studios now, all Hollywood, it's all LA. When DC did their big restructure, DC Comics goes to LA, right, to be with the Warner Brothers. If everything is in LA now, if these guys are all there, if the head's there, if it's a TV version, if every element's there except for Marvel Comics, what are they doing on the 34th floor or something in that one random building in New York, right? They're going to LA.
It'll be a museum at this point.
Marvel's going to LA. I would put money on it at this point. With this restructure, up until this point, I thought, there's no reason for them to. Now that they're all together, all of Marvel is together, to have one arm way out here, I don't know. I don't see it.
Well, does Disney still have any offices in New York, or they get rid of them all?
I don't know. Have they ever had offices in New York? I have no idea. Marvel? I mean, Disney has offices everywhere, I guess. They probably have something.
DC had offices in New York.
Yeah.
But do they keep like a small office? No.
Nope. They only have the one.
Like you said,
it's in Burbank.
The West Coast Avengers will now be the Avengers. Time for a relaunch.
Kevin?
I'm not going to bet against you. But
except for Doomsday Clock releases.
Yeah. It's just, as I was saying before, it's going to be really strange to think of Marvel as I'm not talking about Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Marvel Comics is New York.
Do you think they'll do it?
I think it would probably be cost effective to do it.
Yeah.
It just means it's just New York is baked into that company. Yeah. Even though DC was there longer.
Yeah.
DC never, like Marvel's comics were set in New York. That's what made it more just weird. But times change, right?
Yeah. I just think it's...
They could turn the whole floor into a museum.
More likely.
You'd still be paying rent on a building where nobody's working.
Yeah.
No, but you have a museum. You can charge people.
They're interested in an office building. They're probably not zoned for a museum.
They have to recreate the bullpen. Like put old reproductions of
But
pages.
it's Disney. They can do the animatronic.
Yeah, right? Totally. Jack Kirby and Stanley animatronics.
An animatronic Steve Ditko, like throwing his pages in the trash and storming out. Yeah.
So
if
that would be amazing.
If this happens, we need to figure out when those plans went in place because we had the idea first.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. again.
I could see the Marvel Comics like roller coaster where like you hit the bankruptcy and it just goes woo.
Just they throw variant covers at you at the end, like here.
Okay, I like it. Couple comic things.
There's a bottom out, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, all these titles get thrown to the side.
Couple comic-related news stories here. Batman: Last Night on Earth #3, final part of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's major Batman story, has been pushed back
5 weeks.
If you could guess a date that it was pushed back to, does anyone want to take a guess that doesn't know the answer?
I already know the answer.
Would it be December 18th?
December 18th.
This is going to be a significant day in this store's history.
Brock, you are picking up the books on December 17th because my truck can't handle it. It is going to be
Am I off work then?
massive week. Holy shit. That's going to be, and it's going to be a bigger book too. They're adding additional pages to it for the delay. So holy crap!
I'm not on break yet.
Okay, well that's what sick days are for.
Apparently Tuesday I'm taking a sick day.
No, you meant you're taking a sick day from the shop.
We'll see how big. We'll see how big. We'll see how big the shipment is that day.
It's big because you're getting 2 weeks worth.
Well, we're getting the minimal amount of stuff that's shipping the week of Christmas, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to be very much. This is going to be a little bit, but not very much. But
it's all DC's shipping a whole ton of shit, and knowing how
every company is shipping,
knowing how every company's been the last week of the last week before Christmas, they dump everything.
It is
comics, toys, apparel, you name it. It gets dumped.
It is going to be a massive week.
It'll probably be bigger than last week. Can you imagine doing that wall?
Last week was pretty big. So, yeah, December 18th. Be on the lookout. Get that Christmas money early. Go support your comic store so they're not out of business by the January 1st. Because it's a big one. Finally, and this is just for Ryan Higgins news, because I get to do these every now and again.
Back?
Oh, I wish. I do honestly try to not pick news stories that are like just interesting to me.
No, you do it all the time.
But this is one that I really. This is just for me.
I don't think you'd ever pick one for me.
This is just.
You can't.
The post on the Facebook group is open to anyone to post a news story.
That's great.
Lane, who is not here,
posts better than you do.
Posts more than all of you combined. Okay,
that's true.
All of you have the access.
Tell your news story, and then I got to give Lane a shout out.
Okay.
Tell your news story.
The news story is Legion of Superheroes #3, which is coming out in a couple months, is going to feature Damian fucking Wayne going into the future to see the Legion of Superheroes. You guys know I love me some Damian. I love me some Legion. Did Bendis just be like, all right, I'm just going to look at Ryan Higgins' Twitter account for the last couple of years.
And then he's like, oh, Jesus, Trump. Legion.
I can't send Trump to the Legion.
Damian, got it. That cover is amazing. You guys see the cover, right? No. Where it's Damian's holding up the Batarang with the R on it, right? And all the Legion are like, what the hell? I'm so excited for Damian to be in the Legion.
Maybe Bendis listens to our podcast.
Damian in the Legion.
He's going to visit even if it's just a one-issue visit.
So quick question. Have you tried to get Bendis on?
We're going to do, every year I want the Super Sons team-up issue of the Legion of Superheroes. I need this now forever. Because people were crying. People were freaking out that Damian, or that John was going to the Legion. Dude, oh my God. Bendis must have 98% of comics Twitter on mute because the replies to every tweet of his is just a fucking cesspool of nonsense, right? And people are going crazy against him that he's moving John into the Legion. Personally, I am excited beyond belief. This is like, oh, perfect. Put Damian with the Legion. Put him there as long as you guys want. I am so happy.
I'm sure
so
I don't have an encyclopedic Legion trivia knowledge, but I can't think of, just scanning through covers in my mind,
Robin.
a Bat appearance in
Never.
a Legion comic.
There's never been.
I mean, maybe if they've been in the past.
No. There's no. Well, the only time you saw
Saturn
that was
Girl in the current Batman stuff, right?
There was a,
but not old.
There was a Justice League Legion crossover
sure,
Michael Turner did the covers, and that's when at that point you had Batman.
It was all Justice
and
League.
there's a Legionnaire, huh?
But classic Legion.
There was a JLA JSA Legion versus Mordru.
Yeah.
Back issue in the Steve Englehart run, maybe.
But there's never been a
80s.
member of the Bat family in the Legion.
Yeah. I don't expect Damian's going to join the team.
Giving Damian a Legion flight ring, you're just asking for trouble.
Oh my God!
He's got the flight ring on his hand, and he's holding the Batarang. Yeah.
I just want the issue to be Legion tryouts.
With Damian,
and he doesn't make it.
In more Legion news,
Damian in charge of the Legion of Substitute Heroes. Oh my God!
More Legion news. I don't want to go into any real spoilers. Did we talk about this last week? No, because it was all Joker. Nathan Fillion...
We haven't talked about the two issues yet.
If Nathan Fillion is playing Arm Fall Off Boy in the Suicide Squad...
Oh, my God.
Kevin, that's slow clap.
You're going to do it? Well, that's a little different because he's going to be, in the movie.
For half a second before he's killed instantly, right? The very first Legion member that we get in a live-action movie, discounting Superboy and Supergirl, of course, might be Arm Fall Off fucking boy. Can you imagine? None of them, right? No. None of them have, right? No Mon-El, no Brainiac 5, none of the original 3. No. I mean, they've been in the Smallville.
We've had a TV show.
They've been in Smallville, they've been on Supergirl.
You're talking about on the big screen.
Yeah, but movie.
There would have been no occasion when they would have appeared.
No. Nope.
Can someone take the original Christopher Reeves movie and those scenes, and what is it, 3, right? Is 3 the one where they also have the flashbacks?
To what?
To Smallville?
Yeah.
Let's just special edition the Legion. Just the Legion time machine. Just the time bubble.
You could do that in the first one.
I know. Just the time bubble just in the background at some point.
Just floating through?
Just floating back. Just floating by. when he's running with the train, just floating there. That's all I want. Just someone do that for me, please. Leanne, if you're listening, thank you.
I'm just too busy going, and then somebody's going to go for broke and just put it in every movie.
Booster Gold, you just see Booster Gold flying through
literally
the sky.
Every scene. Yeah, here's Leanne's mission. Every scene of every Christopher Reeve Superman movie, put the time bubble in the background floating by. They're documenting his entire history.
Yeah.
Hey, I liked,
and then when he's flying around the world, at the end of 1, you could see the time bubble going back.
Yeah. Time Trapper's just sitting out in space watching, right?
Who is actually Superboy Prime?
I really like this idea.
Fuck Superboy
I want this. Did you go to Man of Steel? All right.
Oh, yeah.
BVS. They're just hanging out. Yeah. What happened? Superboy Prime punched those walls.
BVS,
it changed everything.
Maybe in BVS, the bubble could launch a nuke and just end the whole thing right there.
Everything got super dark.
It has to be dark. It can't be a bubble anymore.
I liked it when
Legion.
Legion.
Be a dark spaceship.
I liked it when Legion showed up in Smallville. I thought that was fantastic.
Really Jeff Johns episodes.
Jeff Johns. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, that would be great.
We might get some. They might show up in Crisis.
Oh. Well, I'm assuming at least Brainiac 5 is. Because he's still in Supergirl.
What I read today about Crisis was that
I'm done. I'm out.
You want to hear this?
I'm taking the Bryce.
You want to hear this? You want to hear this?
No, I'm taking the Bryce trailer. I have muted both Crisis on Infinite Earths, Crisis, and hashtag Crisis on Infinite Earths from Twitter, including accounts I follow. I don't want to hear anything. I'm avoiding them all on my RSS feed. It's too soon, and I know too much. I'm done. I don't want to know anything else. I don't. Just don't tell me. I'm out. We'll see it soon.
Don't worry. He did this with me earlier.
We'll see it soon.
And said, "Hey, did you hear the Batman '89 news?" He's like, "Shut up."
We'll see it soon. It's impossible for me not to hear and see some of this stuff, but no specifics. I don't want to know anything else. Sorry.
Aw.
Sorry. Yeah. Legion. Some Legion.
Legion's awesome. Long live the Legion.
One last comment thing. A little sales charts, not sales charts, but some other sales news. Here, I'll talk about this. ICv2, which is one of the big comic retailer, industry organizations, and popular website. They do the sales charts, like the estimated sales numbers and everything. They do their white paper conference, which they go through sales numbers.
That was in New York, right?
Yeah, it was right after New York Comic Con. So the beat covered it pretty extensely. Lots of numbers. I'm just going to go through a few things here because it's a big list of info. The market is growing pretty crazy. This also includes
books.
This is bookstores, this is book market,
Amazon.
Yeah, this is not just Diamond. So when we do the Diamond sales charts, this is specifically.
It's just Diamond itself. It's not. It's not outside of Diamond.
Right. So this is 2018 versus 2017 numbers. So even though we're halfway through, well, most of the way through 2019, we won't have end of year numbers till much further for 2019. But this is, we're getting a lot of talk here from 2018, and things have just gotten better. In the book market, kids comics, including all ages product. A lot of slice of life stuff, Raina Telgemeier, Dogman, all that stuff. Up 40% in the book market, 20% in comic shops. Manga goes up 41% in comic book shops. There's a lot of shops now that are very heavily manga influenced. The kind of the big manga boom and bust of the early 2000s.
Those are the people that are old enough now to own stores and pay
and buy comics. But a lot of that goes down to Tokyo Pop and some really shitty business practices. So. The stuff coming out now is, our manga sales are up. They're not huge, but they are definitely, they're up from 0 to an entire shelf plus some overflow.
Yeah,
and
we the old shop, we barely had. We had maybe a shelf.
We had nothing at the end. Yeah, 0 when we moved in here. Except for we had Akira, we had Ghost in the Shell, we had a couple that were just
but those were we put
shoved.
Independent.
Yeah. But now we have a dedicated shelf. We carry some volume 1s, and that's enough of, that is a 100% increase for us from 0.
Have you had anybody come back to special order the?
On and off, yeah. We sell a lot of volume 1s, and then we say if you want the rest, we can get you whatever you want. I'm sure most of them go to Amazon or don't buy them, but whatever. Yeah. At least we have the volume 1s.
The one that we've done really well with is that Marie Kondo one.
Yep, that is one of our top selling graphic novels. Period, manga or not. Yeah, the tidying
up your life.
Yeah, we sell that. We sell that regularly, really often. That's our best-selling manga by far, way more than anything else. Superhero comics, as far as graphic novels, we're down 15%, and that is not too surprising. There's definitely a bit of a as the companies try to figure out what's going to be the next sort of sellable graphic novel for superhero stuff. Sales in the long tail stuff haven't been great. DC obviously is trying to fix that with the Black Label, a lot of standalone content. They want more of that. They've taken the numbers off the spines of their books. They because no one's going to buy a volume 14, right? Yeah. There's still some issues with the formatting from DC, but whatever. Our Marvel trade sales are actually really up the last couple of years. Little dinky trades, big trades, everything. So I can't say anything about Marvel from us. But clearly, Marvel in the past, I'm 1 week of Raina Telgemeier book outsells 6 months of Marvel graphic novels. Yeah. It's crazy. Marvel, as we've said in the past, traditionally doesn't have great trade sales. And authors, quote unquote, authors were down 10%. That basically means kind of single-driven titles, things like Walking Dead, right, where it's sort of Scott Pilgrim, things like that, where there is a one name attached to it. And I think a lot of that has to do with Walking Dead specifically, just very long in the tooth. Now it's over. Yeah. Trade sales down pretty dramatically on that as a series. A lot of the belief for the manga growth is fueled by the streaming anime boom. Obviously, streaming anime, legal streaming anime is now the vast majority of the market. There are still fan sub stuff out there and blah, 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 but it's almost... The people are willing to pay for the Funimation sub or for Crunchyroll.
When Netflix started to get a bunch of that stuff on there,
the Netflix stuff.
People were starting to watch it like crazy.
Yep.
I know Hulu started getting some of the exclusive rights. Like they got One Punch Man Season 2 was exclusive to Hulu.
Yep. I watched it all. Yep. Yeah. So there's lots of clearly lots of bookstore success, book market book club stuff, right, for kids.
Well,
So
Scholastic at the school level is huge. I mean, when I've gone to the book fairs for my kids at their school, you see Dogman, you see you're starting to see more of the Marvel, like little all ages stuff. DC's starting to creep in there with their stuff as well. So, I mean, definitely Scholastic is huge.
The Walking Dead and Saga sales are down. That is probably part of the big push down for those author-driven books. But Adventure Zone, The Boys, Umbrella Academy, Monstrous, those are all selling very well.
Was there a new Saga trade this year, or has it been on hiatus long enough?
We had the compendium. The compendium this year, and we
maybe
the last
hardcover. Yeah.
The
Umbrella Academy was a gigantic success. Yeah. They ran out of multiple printings.
As soon as the boys
have been doing better.
As soon as the boys that series launched, I mean, I had the hardcover singles that I sold. Those were like 4 issues a piece. Those sold fast. You cannot touch the slipcases anymore. No. The slipcases are impossible to find.
Yeah, I watched the first couple episodes, but it's really good too. By the way,
yeah.
Now we get some Comic Hub news in here as well. So
how many of our listeners are falling asleep?
This is something that anyone following the industry for a long time has wanted to know about. This is not sell-in data. This is not sales from the distributors to comic shops.
Oh yeah, this
is sell-through.
This was big news
data.
Yeah.
This is of the 90 stores currently using Comic Hub.
What do we say? Almost. It's like 0.5%?
Yeah, it's not a huge number, but it is more than one store, right? This is sale numbers of actual product that stores have bought. So if you look at the top 10 August 2019 graphic novels that Diamond Comics has sold, top to bottom, 1 to 10, is Walking Dead 32, Batman Who Laughs, the Harley Quinn Breaking Glass OGN, Watchmen, War of Realms, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Declassified, what the fuck? Star Wars Vader Dark Visions, Miraculous Tales of Ladybug, Disney's Descendants Volume 2, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the new series, right? Now, here is Comic Hub sell-through for the same time period. The number 1 is Walking Dead graphic novel Volume 32. So the number 1's match. The number 10 book is the Batman Who Laughs hardcover, which was the number 2 sell-through for comic book stores, right?
Yeah.
But the rest of these, Dogman, Monstrous, Adventure Zone, Saga, Snow Glass Apples, which is the Neil Gaiman adaptation.
I picked that one up.
Batman White Knight, Miles Morales, and Boys Omnibus Volume 1, right? Now, Diamond was out of a number of these books regularly, right? I mean, so you see a lot of these are sourced from book distributors and other places outside Diamond. So while that's what comic book stores bought from Diamond, here's all this other stuff selling, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not specifically the same product that's coming in. Now, we are mostly a Diamond store, right? But I can tell you, my top 10 ordered trades for the month look way more like that sell-through chart than that sell-in chart, right? Yeah. I didn't order, outside of Walking Dead and Batman and Harley Quinn, I didn't order any of those books. And Vader. So
you ordered Monstrous.
No. The stuff that Diamond sold, right?
Diamond, yeah.
4 of the 10 probably would be in our top 10, but the other 6 wouldn't.
Yeah,
right?
the Guardians wouldn't be anywhere close, and that
Descendants and Ladybug and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I didn't even order those. So, yeah, my numbers would have looked much more like that. I probably did sell more Saga than any of those other books. There's also percentage, right? Marvel and DC, and the sales percentage in stores versus Diamond, very similar. But then you look at, again, the top 10 comics for August 2019 versus top 10 sold comics through Comic Hub in 2019. Again, top to bottom, number 1. Absolute Carnage 1, Marvel Comics 1000, Batman Superman 1, Deceased 4, House of X 3, Powers of X 2, House of X 2, Powers of X 3, Absolute Carnage 2, and Batman 76. That's your Diamond numbers, right? You go over to the actual sold numbers. It's Absolute Carnage 1, House of X, Powers of X, Powers of X, House of X, Powers of X, right? So it's again, similar books, just a little bit of a different order. Deceased is on there, that's there. Batman 76 and 77 in there. But Once and Future number 1 is on there. and that's the book from IDW.
Right.
So while a lot of the books are
the Comic Hub actually had a preview of,
and we had a store exclusive. Comics Hub store had
their own
exclusive covers. Yeah. So there's a case where. And they also have sold through percentage. Absolute Carnage #1 was the #1 book, but stores only sold 68% of their stock.
Their stock,
right?
Yeah.
So it's still the #1 book sold by Comic Hub, but there's copies sitting in stores.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
So there's a bunch in a Midtown warehouse.
No, but this does.
No. That's comic stores, right?
This does have an interesting way to level off a lot of, because I mean we're always talking about how many variant covers this book had, and especially with like the open variants, that will still serve. Well, does Comic Hub separate those out, or would those?
They combine covers.
Okay,
for that, yeah.
But it gives you a pretty good idea how much of the market gets thrown off by some of this.
The variant, yeah. Because
the variants and other stuff.
The stores are stuck with, a handful of issues here, a handful of issues here. Oh, nobody bought this one. Nobody, Well,
obviously the numbers for Undiscovered Country that we're talking about at the start of the podcast are going to be way skewed because of our store exclusive cover, right?
Yeah.
And other things. So what actually is...
Yeah, but still, what's... Not to say that I don't hope you sell 1,000 copies of it.
Dude, we're all going out for dinner if I sell 1,000 copies of that, okay?
But, excuse me. Sorry.
The assumption is, even though you're having to order these numbers, a lot of them are going to take time to sort of sell through.
Right. Well,
which means the normalization you get through Comic Hub gives you a much better idea of how many actually sold that month.
Well, and you see, again, because of the time delay, right? When you look at something that's been out for a week as opposed to 4 weeks, House of X #2 had an 88% sell-through, whereas House of X #3 had a 58% sell-through. They're still very near each other on the charts, but that's something that was released at the very beginning of the month versus the very end of the month because of the way they released those titles.
So I'm also curious, for Comic Hub, does it only limit to stuff that shipped that month, or does it also look towards sales overall?
They can look at data however they want to. They just took the August bestsellers by the August calendar month versus month. So they didn't look at anything other than just pure items released in August to the 31st.
But this data shows exactly what we've been talking about for God knows how long, is that drop-off from 1 to 2.
Oh, yeah. House of Powers are different.
They're different, but you're going to see a drop-off from 1 to 2, but that's the thing is what's your sell-through on stuff what's the sell-through on Absolute Carnage #2?
The reason why, part of the reason I was asking that is the point about the #2 versus #3. There's 2 more weeks to sell.
Right.
The one issue versus the next, so you don't know that there's that great a drop-off, and in fact, the assumption is,
but this
some percentage of those.
Idea.
Well, yeah, but in general, when looking at data, you'd want to know what the 30-day sell-through amount on each of those were to be able to really determine how big was the drop-off. Was there a drop-off? And all that kind of thing.
There's always a drop-off.
Oh, there's always a drop-off. But if you're ordering correctly, hopefully you're not stuck with...
Tons of copies of Naomi you put in the dollar bin?
Hey, look, it's a Scott.
It's a Scott.
So juvenile fiction, comics, or graphic novels, as far as book scan goes, so that's the book market, is 41% of the market. Manga is 28%. Superheroes is 10%. And then there's percentages down. So clearly, no surprise, right, that the kids market is humongous at bookstores and book fairs, whereas the superhero market's humongous at comic book stores.
Yeah.
Anyone could have told you this. But graphic novels are now significantly more of the market than single-issue comics. That never used to be the case. Every year has been more and more, and clearly there's more outlets, especially the growth. You can take all that away. It's not the pie. The pie didn't get. The percentages aren't getting smaller. The pie just got much bigger in one direction, and that's the young adult and all ages market, right? I think these numbers for everything else is probably fairly similar. Manga clearly seeing some growth.
Well, I think you've seen you have the increases that we've seen that we always see, right? Like you said in that was it early 2000s manga boom. Right when we had that boom, and then now, it's like we're seeing those people that have the disposable income that are going back to those things, that are introducing those things to their kids.
Yeah, but one thing that's kind of occurred to me on this, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe Ryan will say you're full of shit, but I don't think the price has changed greatly on manga books at all.
No.
Like, they've stayed pretty constant over, like, the past...
I mean, there's less of those $9.99. There are different sizes now.
Well, I mean, the I want to say thinner size. It's not really that thin, but there's like the normal volumes are still $9.99 in general. Yeah. They put out more of the like thicker omnibus kind of things, and even those are relatively cheap compared to buying like
a knock collar. That's a big saving point for these guys, right? They can make them much cheaper.
But again, it's also like Ryan was saying earlier, the publishing of them has gotten better.
And going even farther into that, like Dogman, I don't think the price has changed on that, and they're on volume 6 or whatever. I don't know. I think there's something to be said for coming up with outlets that keep certain things within a price point that works for Scholastic, works for some of these other outlets.
Yeah.
Like, I would never find an omnibus in a Scholastic.
No, at a book fair. If I walked into my kid's book fair and there was an omnibus, I'd be like, is somebody trying to murder a child?
And digital sales are flat. We've known that for a while, and that continues to be the case. And with Comixology closing our digital storefront, I'm sure that didn't help as we sold, obviously not a ton, but our little 1/20th of 1%, I'll take it.
Did you see a... bump in the online store orders when that shut down? Or?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because I've talked to some people who've gotten digital, who read some, not like heavy digital people, but people who kind of casually read comics. They'll pick up the single issues if they can, but especially with like House of X and Powers, with the problems of not having those in stores ordered properly. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were just like, nah, I'll just get it digitally. And then they bought it digitally. They bought one issue digitally. They bought another issue in physical. So it was like all over the place.
Probably.
But it is nice being in a market now where that's possible.
Yeah.
I still remember this issue sold out, and I have to hunt through all the shops in the area trying to find a copy so I could read it before the next issue.
Yep.
We got some Patreon questions. First from Robert. He says, I'd like to hear the podcast crew discuss how they feel about the relative product value in comics today versus 40 years ago, based solely on inflation numbers. Comics should cost $1.41 compared to the 40 cents in 1979 when I started reading. So why are we paying $5? Robert, inflation is bullshit, okay? It is meaningless. Inflation does not work for physical entertainment products. They charge whatever they want to charge. They can charge as much as or as little as they want. There are some comics that are 99 cents or 25 cents or free, right? I mean, they have what's alternate comics. They're like $1.99, right? So this stuff is out there. But Jokisch, there's two arguments. Scott's got the mic.
Hi, Scott.
What was the price of a movie when he started, and what's the price of a movie now? Yeah. And what does inflation say?
$1 to $16, or
and how much
$2?
Was that popcorn then?
What was a movie in '79
now? '79, the movies were what, $2?
Yeah. Were they $16, $18 now?
Well, right. I know from watching Die Hard and getting that view of the Nakatomi building back in '87. It was like
gas was like
79 cents, or it was nothing.
Yeah, that's just. Inflation is not a way to track product sale. That's just not how any of this works. Joe Quesada had a great thing that he said years ago where people said, why don't you just make the comics cheaper and you'll sell more? And he said, well, if we make the products cheaper, there's no guarantee we'll sell more. We'll have to pay our employees less, which means we'll get less talent, and the comics will suffer and sell less, and this is a never-ending cycle. We sell what we have to charge the price. We have to pay our employees and to make this work, right? And to make the industry flow. Dan Didio said, we were very successful at $2.99 and then rose it to $3.99 later because that just allows them to become even more successful, more profitable, right? And you're going to lose people, don't get me wrong, but it's not like comics, really go look at Comic-Con numbers. Things like X-Men selling 8 million copies was a weird outlier, and it was the thing that damaged the industry because of speculation, right? I mean, this really hurt comics. this is don't look at those numbers as a celebration of the success of comics. Look at that as the almost the destruction of them, because those numbers did not go to number 2, 3, and 4.
Well, it also goes back to how you're getting these comics. That image that was on the internet that we saw from the 1940s of that newsstand that had just stacks and stacks and stacks of comics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you would have had in major metropolitan areas at numerous newsstands, not to mention,
But also remember, those are fully returnable. Most of those got destroyed and sent back, right? Yeah. The stripped covers, they were just destroyed. There's a lot of... There's been Comic-Con and other people have really taken a look at those numbers actually from they had like the numbers that were physically mailed out and copies. They had to have like the post office. I don't know what they call them. They would be in the little fine print of comics every now and again, where they would like the print run numbers that were sent out. And you think like, comics selling millions of copies. No, they weren't. Some were for short periods of time in certain areas, but comic sales are not so off from where they used to be. It's just such a different market. Yeah. The total number of books sold is equivalent because you have so many more books and graphic novels and all this other stuff. So,
the amount of titles that DC was pumping out back then is nowhere near the amount of titles they're pumping out now.
I do not want to read a comic book that costs $1.41 retail, okay? Because it's going to be a piece of shit comic book. The $1.99 ones that come out are... Sorry, Jack, I know you're listening. I know you get a lot of those. But the quality is just not there on these, right? I don't think they're doing this so they can roll around in piles of money. I don't think that's what's happening at the comic book companies, right? This is the cost. This is just what stuff costs. So, yeah. You have cases like video games. Video games are fascinating. Video games are cheaper now than they were in the 80s, right? Like Nintendo games, I remember paying like $90 for Final Fantasy IV, or was it Final Fantasy IV or 6? Like they used to be fucking crazy expensive.
Because you get them, you don't even have to buy them now. You don't have to buy the media. You can just download them, and you pay for the download.
Right. And so things change. So,
but like video games leveled out
weirdly.
When did they level out? In the 90s?
Nah, they never really did. They're changing constantly, right? Markets are so weird now.
Most of the standard is $60 now.
But they used to sell hundreds of thousands of copies. Now they're selling tens of millions for those big ones, right? So I mean, again, it's such a different market, right? Andrew Cuscieri,
but inflation.
Yeah, inflation. Like I said, inflation doesn't work for entertainment goods and that type of things. It's just not. It just the rules of inflation don't apply. Andrew Cuscieri says, so again, what's the possibility if Joker cracks $1 billion? Oh, he asked us last week, and we said there's no way.
500 million and climbing.
He wants more. He wants more rated R movies.
I'll be very surprised if Joker reaches $1 billion.
If it's the right movie, I'm totally fine if it's rated R. I don't need,
I don't care if it's rated R or rated PG-13. I don't think Joker has the stamina to reach $1 billion.
Well, I don't think so either, but it's going to be way closer than any of us thought.
Where hasn't it opened up?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a couple random markets that hasn't opened yet.
It could do it.
I mean, at this point, I kind of feel like it's going to at least hit 800.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it doesn't have a lot opening. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff. Like, there's Maleficent coming out.
That's going to be big this weekend.
That'll be big this weekend. Yeah.
And such. But,
well, there's no other. I mean, this is really the only, like, quote-unquote adult movie that's going to be big right now.
What
it's
else
the
is
only
coming
R-rated
out
movie.
Nothing soon? Nothing.
Basically,
Nothing this year, no.
Well,
what's a horror movie? Is there something coming out? What's the next R-rated movie that's not some artsy-fartsy thing? Like, what's some actual, like, big box office? Is there a Halloween? I mean, we had it already.
Kevin, do you know any of the artsy-fartsies?
Is there something?
Yes, not an artsy-fartsy, he said.
Yeah, no. Is
like
there
a mass market?
Yeah, is there a horror movie coming out next
week?
So
your theory is that only an R-rated movie can dethrone the Joker?
Well, no, it just makes sense that the same audience, right? Maleficent and Joker are not the same audience, and not really, right?
No, but I would say that.
What about the Star Wars?
Well, shit, no, but I mean,
That's
like
December, right?
in October, early November.
In October.
Is there any? Is
Dr.
there
Sleep. Is
Dr.
that October?
Sleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, that would cut into it because again, I think that's the same audience, right?
And
is that
Terminator?
June? But that's later, right?
But to me, a large part of it also just has to. So, movie theaters have a limited number of screens. So you get enough big movie demand, it cuts into the amount of showings they can show for Joker. So I don't think it necessarily has to be something that goes after the same audience. I think it just has to be something that takes up enough screens.
You're forgetting the tour de force that is Zombieland Double Tap.
Oh, that's it.
Coming out
there
this
it is.
Weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it.
I will be seeing it too.
Okay, so we have
seeing it too.
Okay, so I just looked up Zombieland Double Tap. Terminator is November 1st. Holy shit, I did not realize it was that soon. And Dr. Sleep's November 8th. So Joker is going to have this is its last week that it's going to have.
You have Maleficent in there as well, which is some of the audience.
But there are there are multiple big R-rated movies that will pull that audience from Joker that haven't seen it yet. So yes, Joker will have.
But again,
and it'll still do well. I think the word of mouth is
done
strong.
well. Even if it's stopped now, it's still done very, very
right.
well.
But also, I don't think we're gonna.
What markets hasn't it opened?
I think before the end of October, it's going to hit probably 800. The question is, with a bunch of movies ramping up in November,
then you're probably done. So. Yeah. Verum Libertas says, two questions, one nerdy, one not so nerdy. One nerdy question: Dr. Manhattan versus adult Franklin Richards.
Dr. Manhattan.
Who wins? Ooh.
He's not scared to show his wang.
Tell Franklin Richards now. What's his name? What's the guy's name? What's he call himself?
Helmet Head?
I can't remember what he calls himself.
Psylord?
Is that what it is?
That's a Valiant book.
Nah, I can't.
No.
Yeah, what is it? What's his name when he gets... Scott, you read those shitty Marvel comics. those shitty FF comics in the 90s with adult Franklin Richards. What the hell's his name?
The shiny helmet guy?
Yeah, well, I don't know. He comes back from the future and he's like crazy powerful.
D-bag guy. What's his name?
You're losing it, buddy.
I'm going to have to look it up.
You know why?
Why?
The shiny helmet guy was Nathaniel Richards. That was Reed Richards' father.
Right.
Yeah, Franklin Richards never wore a shiny helmet.
I'm not saying it's that. I'm just wondering, he call himself? He must call himself.
That was right after...
Is that his dad?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that is who I'm thinking
I thought
of
it was
then.
I thought the helmet guy was Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, the older Nathaniel Richards came and then he took younger Franklin Richards with him, and he came back in as about a teenager or something like that, and that was that whole shitty Fantastic Four story.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
The FF
of.
Foundation.
Look, you're throwing shitty around very, very easily.
Those were shitty FF comics. That was like peak '90s shit.
Please,
I loved them. I loved
leather
them,
jackets, high collars.
Hey, was that the West
Nehru jackets?
Anyway,
look, you don't bring up the stuff in the DC in the 90s.
It's just Franklin Richards.
There's like 5 books by them. They're called Batman.
But Franklin Richards is pretty powerful, but I think Dr. Manhattan's on another level. So, Franklin Richards did create that whole other Earth.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
I don't think Franklin Richards
I think
had
Dr. Manhattan's a
code name, though.
No, yeah, I don't think he did.
I don't think he's had a code name. You?
No.
Franklin Richards?
I can see the cover in my head, and I think it is Reed's dad.
It is his dad. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking for some reason I was thinking that was Franklin, like adult Franklin,
who was also Rama Tut.
Isn't that
which is another incarnation of Immortus and another incarnation of Kang.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kang is Reed Richards' dad?
Yeah.
What? No.
Not really, but maybe.
No.
Hey, look.
Fuck out of here.
Hey, look. It's
in
Lane.
the 90s, yes.
Hey, it's Lane.
I do Rama Tut, Immortus, Kang.
I know that.
Nathaniel Richards are all the same person.
I don't know that Nathaniel Richards.
No, what I like is that the questioner said one kind of nerdy question.
What's the non-nerdy?
Little did he dream the Pandora's box that he just opened.
Nathaniel Richards Kang is the second thing when you type in Marvel.
Okay. Well, here is the question.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a raise. We're gonna have a raise of hands.
Who's Iron Lad?
Iron Lad's baby
Young
Avengers.
Young
Iron
Kang.
Lad's baby King. Yeah.
From the Young Avengers.
Ryan,
Yeah.
please, what is the non-nerdy question?
The non-nerdy question, and I know I think. Well, I think every person hands should be raised, but let's see. Raise a hand here. How many comic collectors have at least 1 month of unread comics but still get new issues regularly?
Oh, hell yeah.
Hands up.
Hell yeah.
Brock. No. You're not a month.
You are lying. You are lying.
You're under a month behind?
Then he just dipped under.
How much unread old stuff do you have?
I got rid of it.
Did you really?
Fuck it, I'm done.
What?
Yeah.
Kevin?
I guess that's what happens when he moves.
Yeah.
I have unread.
Jim wants me to move again.
I have unread trades, but I don't have any unread issues.
Okay.
So I've been questioned on this before. It's like, have you read all these books in your library? Yes. I have cracked all the covers. I have read these books.
Scott came in. The reason this question's so great is because Scott came in the other day and he goes, so I haven't read comics in months. I'm just going to start reading the ones I'm buying today. And I'm like, just... What?
He's like, just stack up your 25 issues of Amazing Spider-Man and just read them all. Yeah, in what, a week? Yes. By the time, you know how many books I get every week? Then I'm not reading any of those.
Not as many as me.
This is much like the man showing up at the doctor's office and saying, wow, it really hurts when I punch myself in the face.
Look, if I want to punch myself in my face on my own time.
Look, I
like having them. Here's why. Because Ryan doesn't pull comics for me anymore, so I just get them all, and if somebody later on down the road tells me, hey, that's a good comic, I'd be like, maybe I got it.
So I have many piles, right? I have my current reading, which I really only is a back. Piles. If you want to count that, it is really until last week. So I've read everything up till last week, so I just have last week's and this week's books to read. So I'm within that 1 month. However, I have my box of unread New 52, which is a long box and a half of unread stuff from New 52, right?
Wow.
Is Hawk and Dove in there?
No. I have my unread
trades,
bought new post-crisis DC stuff, right? So like 2000s, right? Let's use 2000 to current, right? No, let's say Identity Crisis to current. That sounds like a good cutoff point. That's about a box. That's about a long box. I have a long box of unread Marvel. Just period. That's a long box. And then pre-2006, 2007...
New 52?
I have...
Like, really? Just tape them up. Tape them up. Put them in your back stock.
I have...
Tape
they're all taped up in order, chronological
They're already taped
They're all taped up in order.
He has no intention of ever reading them.
My current bathroom reading, when I have a few extra minutes, is... I'm reading these also in alphabetical order, so I'm in Earth 2 is where I am right now.
You haven't finished Earth 2?
No, I'm working my way through Earth 2. And then I have my binding, which is 3 or 4, 5 or 6 long boxes.
3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
And then I have like my, from the time I started reading comics up till, we'll say like Identity Crisis. That sounds about the time I really started picking up more titles. That's 9 long boxes.
Wait. I've been to your house. I've seen your collection. That's everything except for your Avengers long box.
No, I have 2.
That's all your books.
He just says he hasn't read 9 long boxes of comics of the 12 long boxes of comics he has.
I have like 80 long boxes of comics.
So wait, I would just like to say to the questioner, that was a bait and switch because we have gone fully down the nerd hole on both of these questions. There was not a non-nerdy question in that pair.
Well, so like I have like 100 issues of Hellblazer that I haven't read, and then I have like the 150 issues I have read, and then I have like the last 50 of that I haven't read, right?
Don't you guys love how he always says that Hellblazer is one of the best titles ever? It's so great. You haven't read it.
I've read like half of it.
You haven't read like 100 issues of it.
It's more like 150.
It could have been good for like 15, and then just a pile of crap.
Ask him about Saga.
So my favorite thing, Ryan won't admit to this, but for years he used to be totally caught up on all Marvel comics.
Yeah, and not
he
DC.
didn't, and not DC because he bought the DC stuff and would read the Marvel stuff in house.
Current Marvel, I catch up at a series at a time. I'm just like, time to grab 4 trade paperbacks and read them all.
He's all caught up with Marvel. He's like years behind. So when he says everything is good, he's lying. He hasn't read it yet.
I am way more caught up on DC now. There is not a Marvel comic that I'm current on. House of X Powers, I am, obviously. But I haven't read the Uncanny run before that. It's in my pile.
Why?
So
taped up. I taped it up. I got through about 10 issues.
I didn't buy them. It's in my pile to burn through the. I used to read all the Marvel stuff at the store when I had time. I don't have time for that anymore.
And why doesn't he have time? Come on, everybody,
the hub,
chime
baby.
in.
The hub,
because of
too busy.
TV and video
because of Twitter.
No,
he's on Twitter all the time.
If we looked at Twitter data from years
seriously
before to now,
I got a question. For
come on!
Ryan.
I wish I could tweet that much.
Okay, how many? Just so I didn't miss anything, how many unread long boxes do you have at your house?
25.
And I don't mean like old vintage comics.
79 of 80.
Pile.
My reading pile?
Yeah, how many long boxes?
He's carrying the one. He's multiplying.
Video. I wish this was filmed for YouTube because
there's smoke coming out of his ears.
Like legitimately
25.
Bought new with the intention of reading.
How many?
12.
Okay. So I'm going to just give
long
you
boxes.
12 long boxes.
I'm just going to give you a scenario. Okay. Let's say that you went home tonight and there had been some flash flood, and those 12 long boxes were just pulp right now.
Yeah.
The rest of your house
I've purged out of
let's
those
just say the
boxes,
rest
too.
of your house is fine, but those are just like toilet paper right now. How many of those 12 boxes would you rebuy right now?
Every single one.
Lies.
Every single one.
Lies. That's lies.
Because they're runs that I collected.
You sit on a throne of lies.
No.
Okay.
Every single one.
I didn't know if you would look at it as, I'm free.
You would not go buy the new 52 crap that you chose not to read.
The stuff that I still collected,
You're not gonna go back and buy Earth Society.
I'm going to throw my brown flag on that one.
No,
That's
you wouldn't.
bullshit.
Right now.
No,
you are
wouldn't.
not going to buy
You are
new
not going to
52 again.
buy that shit.
Well,
I wouldn't even rebuy that
I have
shit.
I have 107. What is it now? What are we up to now? Something crazy. I have something like 120 issues of Harley Quinn I haven't read. Right?
And you'd rebuy them?
Yeah. Can I have all the others? Okay. See. Scott broke this a long time ago. He didn't care anymore. Right?
Don't care anymore.
Hence why I just purged. I was like, it's easier just to get rid of it.
I have 40 issues of The Dreaming read. I need those last 15 issues I never read back in 97 because I have the rest.
See, this is why I switched to omnibuses.
Because then you have them all.
Oh, nothing I buy will ever be collected.
Okay, now hold on.
It's all garbage.
We have this entire time we've been talking about single issues. What about your graphic novel back?
I don't read any of my graphic novels. I buy the stuff I like. That's
stuff that you previously read.
Yeah.
So how current on Saga are you?
He buys the stuff that he thinks he likes.
Some of it.
In trade paperback and graphic novel. But you probably haven't read half the stuff that you bought in graphic novel also because you haven't read it in floppies.
No, a lot of them.
Because half of it you read in floppies, but half of it is still in your to-read box.
Yes, most of my Marvel Epic collections I haven't read because I haven't read, whatever volume 17 of Daredevil is or whatever, right? I mean, those I am buying to get the complete collection of those classic runs. I've read lots of I have the Flash omnibuses, right? Like the Silver Age Flash omnibuses. Yeah, I've read most of those issues through the years in other collections and reprints and stuff. But my 4 shelves of Jeff Johns graphic novels, yes, I've read every single thing in there. I just have bought it for the second or third time in a collected format because it's my favorite things.
Did you read all of Saga?
No, I've read the first. I don't own any Saga. I don't.
I thought you were buying.
I bought it for a little while, but I stopped buying it. I read the first couple graphic novel collections. Actually, I think I read the first 2 digitally. I think I read the first 2 on Comixology, and then I read another trade.
It's a throne of lies.
How many comics do you have in your digital box that you haven't read yet?
Well, 0 now. Yeah. I only bought a couple digital comics in because they were it was a 99-cent Saga graphic novel sale or something.
This does remind me. We had this conversation, I think, at the old shop when I was moving one time. around the apartment where we used to live.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan and I used to be neighbors.
Yeah, and we didn't know it.
I had all of my long boxes on a hand cart, dolly, on a rainy day. That was fine. So the cardboard, I had plastic over the top of the top one, and they were fine. But the cart hit a missing chunk or something on the pavement, and the entire thing, I shit you not, tipped sideways. All of the comics spilled out into a muddy grass as it's raining. I mean, they're all bagged, so it's not like the comics themselves. But I mean, I was looking at a huge pile, let's say 5 long boxes of comics in the mud.
You just walked away.
I was right at that moment, Brock, where I was just like, I am 50-50 right now. I'm just going to walk away. I'm free. I'm just free.
And then you know what would have happened? Ryan would have walked around the corner.
Holy shit!
Whoa! Look at this! Because the top pile was all Silver Age.
Oh my
that was
God.
the top box.
Oh
so
my
you would have seen. You would have been like,
all these can go in my dollar bin. Yeah.
Jumped on him.
wipe the mud off.
Well,
them and,
I mean, I had this moment. We had the fire in my apartment.
Oh, that's
at this
right.
point
Yeah,
a decade
that's right.
ago. I mean, I was standing there and I'm like, well, I guess I don't have to move my comic boxes anymore, right? I'm done, right? It's over. But no, the comics survived.
That entire room survived.
Yeah.
And
lost all my records and
then I had to move those boxes
DVDs
twice.
and everything. Yeah. But yeah, I have a lot
To
of
the apartment by you.
But I would say of my subscribers, easily.
You're lucky those didn't get touched, because if that room would have went up, that would have been the hottest part of the fire right there.
Easily 75% of my subscribers are not current on their books. Now, that might be a week back. That might be a few weeks back. But I would say, I mean, I have people that are like, oh, have you read everything this week? And I'm like, I haven't read anything from like a month ago. Like, I haven't touched anything. I haven't even opened anything from this week.
Wait, we work in the industry and they think we've read these books?
Most people, especially my Wednesday guys, none of them are current on their books. Like, 1 or 2 of my guys that come in that only get like 1 or 2 books. Yeah,
Lane, are you current on your books?
Don't even. No.
That was the most disgusted hell no. No.
How current is Toby on his comics?
Toby Reese comics?
What decade did he last read? So... There you go. That's a good question.
Next
That was a good question. That was a good double question.
Jonathan says, thanks to the Shonen Jump app and various comicsology sales, I've been reading a lot more manga than I have before. Only 700 more issues of One Piece to read before I'm caught up.
Only 700?
Yeah. Are you guys reading any manga at the current moment, and any series from the past that you love? I am notoriously terrible at reading manga. I haven't read anything recently. I've been buying a few things, but I haven't read a manga in quite some time. So, Charlie, I think, reads a little bit.
It's been a while since I sat down to read a series. I mean, I bought various things when I'd get really into a particular anime. Sometimes there would be other like manga series, like Dot Hack I read some of, and Trigun, and like a lot of that stuff. Yeah. And in my house are almost all of One Piece, because one of my kids been reading that. So I have all those volumes. So
I tried Attack on Titan. My daughter reads that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get through it. I'm not into the manga anymore.
Yeah, there's just I'm really out of anime and manga now. Anything that I'm buying, like I'm buying Urusei Yatsura, which is like old stuff, right? Like I was buying like Ranma. I was buying like the Gundam Origin books. I like Death Note. So I have a handful of series.
I have picked up. Well, I mean, I got from you some of the old Devilman, and I like the old Devilman and Crying Freeman.
Yeah,
those are classics. Those are classic ones. But I haven't picked up anything new.
I have a lot of the old Lupin the Third ones. I like those a lot.
That Shonen Jump app, though, holy shit, that is a ridiculously good deal. You can basically read everything for, that's like $2 a month or $2.99 a month or something like that. It is so cheap. You can read so much stuff on there. So if you're into manga, dude, that is the way to go. It is such a good deal.
I don't read manga, but I'd like to maybe read that Tidy Up book.
Yeah. Andrew Criscieri, question for Brock. How are you enjoying Spider-Man? How are you enjoying Spider-Man? You started playing it yet? PS4?
Oh, the PS4 game, yeah.
See, he's trolling on your Chiefs?
I don't know. I'm like... he
sees He was yelling at me because I unlocked all the costumes, but I never changed from the base Spider-Man costume. Oh, because it's Spider-Man. I'm only going to be the real Spider-Man.
You didn't automatically get changed when Black Cat did that thing to you?
No, I didn't change any of the costumes.
Oh, it automatically changed for me. I was like, all right, well, I'm wearing this costume now. No, it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's an open world. Like, you swing around, you do the same old stuff. Screw the drones things. No, I'm really enjoying it. I can see why it was definitely, it's definitely Game of the Year, why people enjoyed it so much. Some of the combat takes a little getting used to. But overall, I think they did a really, really solid job on the game. Yeah, I mean, I'm about, last I checked, I was like 60% through the game. I just don't have time. So, I'll play for an hour here or there and stuff like that. So, but I mean, interesting take on where they're going with that stuff. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely something that it warrants everybody's praise.
Yeah, I beat the regular game, but I haven't played the DLC stuff yet. So Leanne did all of it. Charlie, did you play Spider-Man yet? Did we talk about this? I can't remember. I feel like
I was very, very angry over some of the stuff with Spider-Man, but nothing to do with the game. All to do with PlayStation.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Right. You got the weird code or whatever. You got like one of the European codes or something.
And this is Charlie angry.
Yeah.
Just to illustrate the story
You don't want Charlie angry.
So I have slowly been going back through it.
Cool.
But
cool.
Yeah.
The one thing I do like about the game is that you can put it down and pick it up and you don't really feel like you're oh, okay, yeah, now that's where I'm at. When I was playing like the Arkham games, I was like, what the heck did I do? There's just there was so much in the Arkham games that you're just like, you kind of have to, hunker down and give the time to it, where Spider-Man really feels kind of like you can casually play this game for a year and you'll still enjoy it every single time you
come back just web swinging is so good.
Yeah. Why? Just take the subway because you get.
Enerbon Banerjee asks, when are we going to get the gritty reboot of those comics conspiracy ads starring Ryan as Batman and Charlie as Robin? If anyone hasn't seen these, they should be up on the YouTube page. This was back.
A really, really, really tall Robin.
Yeah, it's a very tall Robin. This was back the original owner of the store. They did these wonderful ads,
horrible,
parodying the 66 Batman TV show. And one of our employees, who I still talk to him today, to this day, a good friend of mine, Donald, played Robin. And you've seen these, Scott. You saw these.
Dying laughing.
You remember these, right? Yeah. They ran them on local TV, right? They had a lady that was Catwoman.
Damn, how red are you?
And some other guy that was Batman.
Did I see you guys in costume?
I wasn't in it. This was before I wasn't working here.
Donald was in
Donald
costume.
was in the costume. Yep.
Who was with Donald? Was it?
I don't remember who. I mean, they had actors that came with the ad company that were Batman and Catwoman. The great part is the way they did one of the shots. You don't notice it. I guess you're thinking about it because they had license to, like, they could do some things, but they couldn't show like other comic books. Like, they kind of had to focus only on the DC properties. And so Donald's reading a comic. But the way they shot him from the ad side of the back comic. So they actually put another comic on the other side of it. So like it looks like there's like two covers to it because they couldn't show like the backside advertisements. So yeah, it's kind of a funny. When you look at it, you're like, wait, the cover's on the wrong side. Oh well. I don't think we'll redo those commercials anytime soon, but they are very fun. You should go look at them on our YouTube page. Zach says, what's your favorite thing about owning or working at a comic store and least favorite things? I like the money. That's pretty good. I mean, there's not a lot of it, but money's always nice.
You've done very well.
I like the podcasts.
We're getting what? You've done very well.
We're getting by.
Throne of Lies.
Oh, like in the podcast?
Yeah. You hate the podcast.
Oops, I forgot. I really hate doing the podcast.
No, you hate Tuesdays.
Tuesdays are so long. No, I mean, I like talking to people. I love comic books. It's awesome. It's a lot of work, but it's an awesome job. It's a lot of fun. I'm my own boss.
Tuesday.
A lot of Twitter time.
And like Charlie, you and Brock, you guys, like Scott's just like sitting behind the counter. Like, you don't work here, but Scott's like hanging out, right? I mean, like so much of this job is just.
This place is a little bit like Cheers.
Yeah.
So are we doing alcohol at our next location?
People just kind of go and do whatever they want. So
pretty much.
I mean, in general, and I've told Ryan this forever, I would quit if it started feeling like work to me because I have a job.
Yeah.
I've been sitting here on like a Wednesday, and I'm like, okay, there's 6 customers in the store, but I've known them all for 30 years. I'll be right back. I need to go get my lunch next door. Just hang out. I'll be right back. Right? Not a lot of jobs you can do that. So, no, it's a ton of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and there are days when you don't know that you're going to be coming in here and doing something. I remember one of your sales over in the old store.
Yeah.
And I was in town at the time, and I rolled up late around, that might have been a Free Comic Book Day, but when one of the sales, I rolled up, and I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to, there's a line already around the corner. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to look like an ass and just walk in front of this line of everybody. I'm going to go stand in line. And Brock's standing there going, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm gonna
get in here and move a box, asshole.
I'm gonna go get in the line, for the store. He goes, get inside. Ryan needs you.
You don't work here, but I'm putting you to work.
Jim, can you go to the back and watch everybody? I just want to be a customer today.
No, you've crossed that line. You're helping me.
It's one of those things where it's like the range of customers is just, it's like, you have those people that you know that are just like, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of line.
Yeah,
right? Like Scott's like, yeah, I'm behind the counter. I feel like I'm running a store, but I'm not. But then you have like just actual customers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a very different. I mean, I've always said this to people that have asked about like owning your own business. It's the best and worst feeling because when you succeed, it's good because you did it, you and your employees and your friends and everything. When you fail, it's way worse. If you get laid off from a job, I mean, it's usually out of your control, right? Or you get fired. I mean, maybe, but here, if it just fails, it's kind of on me, regardless of what the situation is.
Well, I mean, the move, I think, was one of those big moments.
Yeah, very big.
Like it was, you know,
it was risky because the rent here is way more. I could have been like, nope, we didn't increase sales at all.
That's the thing.
We're done. We're out of business.
The thing is, right? I mean, you had been thinking about moving for 5 years prior to that.
Longer than that.
I know, but like actually,
really doing it
was 5 years before, and so, but you know, it was again. I think it's the risk you take.
Yeah,
but man,
it's James Sim up at ICv2 Comics. He always said he never understood why comic book people. I'm very paraphrasing here, but he had a line like, he never understood why comic book people are always so like weird and grumpy and angry, like the guy on The Simpsons. He's like, because you work at a comic book store. Like, it can be a lot of work, but it's a really fun job.
I think it's just you know the custom. Some of the customers sometimes will get on your nerves.
Yeah, but I would way rather have customers. Trust me, I worked at Blockbuster. I worked at a bookstore.
You worked at Crown Books.
Yeah. City Warehouse was pretty equivalent. I mean, we had some crazy people. Mostly it was okay. Easily, 99% of the customers here are awesome. We get occasionally there's some crap, but it's very rare.
Yep.
It's very, very rare. All right, 2 more from Patreon, and I'm going to do 1 or 2 more from Twitter before we get out of here.
And an email?
Way too many questions.
Chris, leaving. He wants an email before he goes.
Chris says, not comic books, but Star Trek Discovery, yay or nay? Anyone watching it?
Absolutely yay.
Okay, I got halfway through season 1, and I'm
Ryan.
I'm trying.
Finish season 1 and then talk to me.
Okay, it hasn't hit me yet. I'm trying. I love Star Trek, right? He said, but is anyone excited for Picard? Picard is a minute 1 show. I will watch that the second it comes out. I am now shut off from Picard. I don't want to know anything else. I am beyond excited for Picard. That's soon too, right? Is that this year or early next year? It's pretty soon.
I want to say it's early next year, but I'd have to double check.
The best part is he has a computer in front of him that he can type this stuff into.
Picard looks just fucking phenomenal. 7 to 9 is going to be back. Hugh's going to be in it.
We're going to see if So my typical stance on streaming services like this is I want the season to...
Oh, Hugh. Okay, yeah.
I want the season to end, and then I can subscribe and binge watch it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stick to that rule with Picard.
Oh, Picard, I'm in minute 1. Yeah. No question. No question. I can't wait. I thought, what are they going to do? And then I see him, and I'm like, no, I'm in. 100%. I'm down. I love, dude. Next Gen's my favorite Star Trek by far. So, any chance to go back to that world, I'm super excited for. No Trekkies out there?
But catch up on Discovery too.
Yeah. I haven't watched. I've only watched a couple episodes.
So much material I haven't seen of the old stuff.
I've heard.
I'm going to watch the rest of it, Charlie.
No, you don't understand. Like Discovery season 1,
it's a rough start.
The way it's definitely a rough start.
Yeah,
but the payoff is
okay.
Fucking watch Discovery.
Last question from Patreon. Christopher says, everyone has their own opinions on comic book graders and grading. Scott may want to jump in on this. CGC versus CBCS versus PGX. Do you guys have any opinions? This is for the comic book grading service for the slabbing.
Okay, I'm out because I don't do slabbing, but grading comic books is opinionated. It depends on what each person is looking for and what each person wants to nitpick at as to what will determine the grade. You can only give really, really general grades whenever you're talking to somebody.
Yeah. To me, the only grade I care about is looks good to me.
And Kevin and I, was it you and I that were talking about this? I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and it's such a subjective market. Somebody asked me, they're like, well, who gets to decide what the grades are? And I'm like, well, it starts with Overstreet, and that's what it's always been. But it's now the pace setter of grading is CGC.
Yep.
And then the others just fall in. And you'll probably get on high-end key comic books, I would say...
major keys or minor keys? Or?
Whatever. Let's not get into that again.
Your D-level keys.
Whatever it might be, you're probably going to get... What would you think, Jim? Maybe 10...
Oh, for CGC versus the other
CGC versus the others, you're probably going to get another couple percent.
Oh, easy.
Easy?
Yeah.
But no, not easy anymore. There's some of the other ones are pretty good.
CGC, CBCS, they're really good. Though they're about comparable. PGX, people look down on. I don't know why, but they're just lower than they usually come in lower than CGC. Absolutely.
But it's
yeah. No,
it's the market. It's the market we live in. Pretty much that's driven by the internet, because at least you have an idea, a strong idea of what grade of comic book you're going to get online.
Yep.
Rather than somebody taking a bunch of pictures. And nobody nowadays, even really good owners that could grade, are unwilling to put a grade on a comic book, a raw comic book, and because they're afraid of giving negative feedback.
Yep.
I sold some comics. I was selling doubles on eBay, and I stopped because people were always going after grades. And then you tell them a general grade, and then you would get it, and then they would nitpick at it. And I got tired of fighting them. I really did.
We started putting up a ton of just like doubles and triples of weird Bronze and Silver Age stuff that we had in the store. Just picture of the front, picture of the back. Description says no missing pages or coupons cut out. It appears there are no missing pages. Right. No grade. $5 starting bid. Let it ride. I don't know. What's the grade? Not for me to decide. You can figure it out. Like I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah, and I put enough pictures on there on my stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, front, back, middle to show the staples.
I won't say a grade.
And then pictures of each corner on the front to make sure that there's no damage. But they still, people still are.
Well, I think for me, when I go to sell online, I just stick to near mint, very fine, like that grading scale, because that's kind of just easier to throw something in. And I normally throw it into the lower category.
Right, you go a half grade down.
I go like a half grade down, and I don't like do numbers. And eBay tries to like slap a number on there, and I'm like, no, I don't want a goddamn number, because I'm not on a grading. Like I'm not grading this on a system. I'm just doing this as a general like idea.
Yeah, I'll go, if I'm online and selling something online, I'll grade half grade down on whatever I think it is, and I feel like I'm pretty strict on what I want. I've brought in so many comic books here and go, Ryan, look at this, and he's like, I don't know, and I'm like, what grade do you think that is? And he's like, well, dude, that's a 2. And I'm like, I gave it like a 2.5. This guy said it was a 4.
Yeah. It's so subjective, but people are crazy about grading, and
nowadays it's even worse than ever. Nowadays,
CGC and the grading services do help, but you're going to be paying a significant amount of money to basically kind of verify your sale. I wouldn't use anything but CGC personally. I think they're the only ones worth. Not that I have anything against the others. It's just sort of
they've become the standard.
They are the standard.
CBCS is good.
Are they good?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, to me, I don't use any of them personally.
My only problem with the grading is it takes so freaking long to get your book back. I mean, I've heard the horror stories too, and I don't want to send that Incredible Hulk 181 there and have it be sitting there for 6 freaking months.
Yeah, I got all sorts of random mid-grade stuff and low-grade, and like I'm going through the remainder of Sam's stuff, right, that we got from his wife, and there's like some like Golden Age Disney stuff in there and some Western stuff, but I mean it's just nothing is worth. It's just not worth.
No, it's got to be worth slabbing,
right?
Yeah,
and I see people that are like, yeah, I got my 4.5. Random book that's worth nothing. It's like, why would you waste your time and money on that? Like, it's not worth anything. But when if a 9.0 Amazing Fantasy 15 rolls in here, you have to get that graded these days.
I gotta get my Giant Size X-Men #1. I gotta get my Incredible Hulk 181, 180.
Yeah. If you want to sell,
I gotta get those keys are investments. Those are big books.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm going to burn through a couple of questions here real quick from Twitter.
And an email.
We got a handful of questions about 5G.
The network?
No.
You said you refused to talk about that last week.
Yeah, and I will. So when Toby is here next, he should be back next week. He will tell us more about what he heard at the New York Comic Con panel that DC had. 5G is the rumored tagline. Like I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like sure, tagline.
Catchphrase?
Think New 52, whatever, right? For DC's upcoming relaunch of all their characters to be replaced by younger versions of those characters. So Superboy takes over as Superman, Wonder Girl takes over as Wonder Woman, yada, 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 right? The reason I don't want to talk about this is, as Kevin chuckles, is twofold. One, the Beat and Bleeding Cool are talking about it, and they've heard from random people,
rumors.
Yeah, stuff they've been working on. Dan Didio has said publicly that, they're discussing things and, they're always planning for the future. They're not going to talk about rumors. They're always working on stuff. They don't want to announce anything until anything's finalized, right? Because these things can change. To me, I think it is highly unlikely that the worst case scenario of DC is going to reboot every comic book with a new #1 featuring a new, Luke Fox as Batman is the big rumor, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That they're going to launch a new #1 with all these characters taking over and reboot continuity and blah or whatever it is, right?
Except Batman.
I think there is a possibility based on the events that have been happening in Justice League and Doomsday Clock and all these things, right? That the Justice League something happens, Lex Luthor wins, the Justice League is poofed out of existence, right? And then we have a story arc, a major story arc, right?
Dr. Manhattan splats.
But a story arc where Luke Fox takes over as Batman, Superboy comes back from the Legion, takes over as Superman.
What was that, year 1?
Oh, why can't we just
Damian takes over
Elseworlds and do it?
But no, for a story arc, for an event.
Yeah,
this is not. There is a huge difference to me between we're rebooting everything and starting over new #1s. Nothing will ever be the same again. This is the permanent way for the next 2 years. Nothing. There's a difference between that and here's a fun story we're doing where a bunch of JLA members get replaced. And I do not believe they're going to do the first part if this happens at all. All right. I'm pretty confident that Marvel and DC are done with line-wide reboots for the time being. They're going to do little family reboots. DC has done this, right? They relaunched, kind of retooled Action and Superman. They redid all the Justice League books, right?
Yeah. Well, Action stayed the same. But we had the relaunch of Superman with Bendis coming on. But the thing is like Tomasi had given us 45 issues, solid issues of a Superman thing. So I'm like, all right, cool. I don't mind. I mean, you got 45 issues in the can and a couple annuals. All right, good. That's a good chunk of material. Yeah. Going to the next volume or the next one, perfectly fine. Jumping on with Bendis. Bendis gives us another 50 issues of Superman. Yeah. Cool. Then we relaunch it again. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with we've done 12 issues. We're going to renumber.
Yep.
Right.
And I don't think that's what they're going to do. So again, there's not much to say because we don't know anything, right?
Right.
Generally, I mean, if you go back and just look at the history of comic rumors, imagine it's late 1999 and someone said, "Dude, you're not going to believe what they're going to do. Marvel is going to restart their entire line of comic books today. Spider-Man's going to be a kid." It's going to be fucking terrible. Why would they erase all this continuity, right? This makes no sense. But then Ultimate gets launched, right? You can take the rumor and twist it any way you want, right? Because we don't know what they're going to do. Yeah. Even if there was plans to reboot everything.
This could be stuff that spins out of the Tales from the Dark Multiverse. This could be something that's out of the multiverse to begin with. Elseworld stuff, like they're doing this... Because I remember for when they did 52, there was that 8 months to a year where the main characters weren't there.
Yeah.
Right?
1 year. 1 year.
The 1 year stuff. And but all of these other characters came to the forefront that you got to see that weren't the top tier, and that was kind of like a line wide thing. So it was kind of like, hey, check this out. Versus, we're just going to relaunch Batman. Okay, you're relaunching Batman. Tom King just finished. We're giving it over to Tyrion the Fourth.
Yeah.
And you're redoing it. Like what?
Pandora and Harbinger are back, and they're pissed.
So there's nothing to say because there's nothing to say. Nobody knows. Nobody knows anything, right? Rumors are rumors. And Bleeding Cool, man. I used to be a big supporter of Bleeding Cool, and I used to read them all the time, but. It's just so super clickbait. I mean, it's always been clickbaity, but to me, it's worse now. And I think they do some real harm to the industry. They make people mad instead of
trying to inform people and
and
have a discussion or
trying to bump
and the
bump
website
up.
And the website's has the shittiest pop-ups known to man. And
having articles saying everything is going to change at DC. They're rebooting with new number ones. They're going to change all the main characters again. Like, that's just going to make people angry. So I don't want to hear it. Question
Moving on.
From Enzo. He says, seeing that John Romita Jr. did the pencils of the latest issue of Batman, as well as this week's, it makes me wonder what you guys have against him. Do you just dislike his art, or is there something more than that? Kevin sits back down.
I was just stretching.
Okay.
Let me repeat what I've said on this show before. Yes. Romita Jr. was a god. Look at his Daredevil.
Yep.
Look at his Spider-Man, his Iron Man, his X-Men from the late 80s, mid-late 80s.
Dude, Frank Miller and him on Batman, Daredevil Man Without Fear, right?
Yeah.
Great miniseries, early 90s. Even his Thor run in the late 90s
was pretty good.
That was the stuff that Heroes Reborn.
Dan Jurgens wrote those, I think.
Yep.
So that's all I'm going to contribute right now. You guys say your piece about JR.
Look, Neil Adams, George Perez, John Romita Jr.,
they're the old guard now.
Of that list you're saying, I would say Perez still has most of his fastball.
Frank Miller.
Right? Stand by. Perez still has most of his fastball.
Did you see the last two variants for that Superman Year One?
Yeah, I sure have. These guys are absolute legends whose current work are maybe just not up to the standard we held them to in the past. People still really like them. They're just not. I mean, George Perez at the very end, it was like. I mean, the dude literally like shattered his arm drawing JLA Avengers. Like, he can't draw anymore. He's retired and he's blind now, right? I mean, he had
But if you look at that Brave and the Bold stuff he did with Mark Waid, that's good. It's not like Perez at Mount Olympus level, but it's really good.
He did one or two things at the very end, and you're just like, okay. But health is preventing him from doing.
But the thing is,
John Byrne, right? Like. There's good John Byrne commissions, but then there's John Byrne, the published comic artist.
I think one of the biggest, like George Perez, like I loved that Brave and the Bold stuff that he did, and it wasn't. You didn't get that really in depth George Perez, but you got the real sense of George Perez's work there.
Yeah.
For things like John Romita Jr., honestly, once he did Kick-Ass, it was just like, like that's where I think the whole falling off went, because his style kind of just stuck to that. And then it's like he didn't really change from that style. Like before, his style used to go around the character he was drawing. Like his Spider-Man would be a little like he would conform to Spider-Man, but his style of Spider-Man. Thor, it was his. This is like, oh yeah, I'm just going to draw Superman how like I think Superman's drawn, not how Superman should be drawn, right? It's more of like he's like, I'm just going to do it how I want.
Yeah.
And for me personally, the like having these issues of John Romita Jr. towards the tail end of Tom King's run is just kind of like, it takes the steam out of like you had such a great run with the different creative teams and the artists, and then you just kind of throw Romita Jr. these 2 issues at the end. I'm like, the last 3 better be fucking phenomenal, or I'm like, eh.
So, yeah, it's nothing personal. It's just not really into their current artist style.
I give the inkers and the fucking colorists of his all the fucking credit, because they make it at least manageable to look at.
Let's aim this towards Jim here for a second. Savage Dragon's one of your favorite books.
Yep.
I mean, Larson's, it's not the same.
It is the same.
Larson?
Yeah. Look at Larson's work back when he was doing Spider-Man. Look at Larson's work
now.
You know, now it's pretty close, pretty damn close.
Yeah.
You haven't looked at anything now.
Well, I mean, we're even getting
barely
to the
look
point
at the
where
cover when you like, and when you're putting it in my box.
Fucking trip.
This just happens to everyone. Look, Jim Lee does the variant cover for RWBY this last week from DC, and people are like, nah, it's okay. I mean, part of that's the character, but part of that's like, Jim Lee's done a lot of work, and this is not Hush. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you're just like, okay, well, I don't need this, right? And this will just happen to everyone eventually. Almost everyone.
Even Jim Lee had a period where his work just wasn't like there.
Well, he just doesn't do. He can't do monthlies. Yeah, and so his output's so minimal.
I don't know if it's the fact that their work has dropped off, or the fact that our desire for that particular art at this time.
Well, it's their age, it's their lack of continued publishing, it's our taste, it's the industry's taste.
Yeah.
There's
a vast combination of factors.
But
some people, so I still read the books.
Frank Miller did that variant cover for Batman, and it was our highest sold variant cover for Batman, because people were like, Frank Miller did a cover for Batman. I'm like, yeah, but it's not good. They're like, but it's Frank Miller.
Yeah.
People still want to buy it, right? Look, I don't want to anger Charlie back there, right?
Right? Anger Charlie.
Look, Alex Ross is doing these covers for Captain America.
Yeah,
and they're okay, right? They're fine.
Oh, that's sacrilege.
They're fine. But
Charlie,
but he's not putting the work into these like he did Marvels or Kingdom Come, right?
But it's not as big of a scale either. It's one character.
Sure, but I mean they're different. Art changes as time goes on, right?
But the art he's done on the Captain America covers has been phenomenal. They're amazing. I wish they were all collected in one magazine so I could look at them.
Oh, they'll do a portfolio.
I mean, realistically, and this is something where I disagree with Ryan, but to a point. Yes, I think most of this stuff is fine that it turns out cover-wise, because it also comes out as posters. It also, anything Alex Ross does is sold 3 or 4 different ways.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
Including by him directly signed and all that kind of fun stuff.
It's just changing styles to a lot of it. If you look back, Marvels is one of my favorite comics. I think Charlie would agree. Ever. I think Alex Ross's art, I'm talking about his skill as an artist, is better now than it was at the time of Marvels. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that means that his Captain America covers are better than Marvels.
Yeah.
I think Adam Hughes is now a better artist than when he was when he started out on JLI and Maze Agency.
Those Legionnaire issues.
I think he's better now.
Yeah.
Carmine Infantino in the Silver Age was untouchable. In the 80s was unreadable for me personally, styles just change.
Yeah.
And sometimes the taste of the market doesn't change with that style.
Love me some Speedball, but that Steve Ditko one was like,
yeah,
woof, it's really rough.
That was late 80s, right? Okay, late 80s was not a time for Ditko in the market.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
Yeah. You like that art and super?
Sorry, we had to slam Steve Ditko when you walked out, so...
Steve Scott's Ditko on Speedball.
Scott just bit red in the face.
Scott's like, okay, never mind.
Well, like the art on the Superman issue, the last one, with the big feet.
I don't know what was up with that. That's a modern artist, and I'm just like, whoa, this is not the right art for this book. All right, we're running really long, but I did want to answer this question here because I think it ties really well back into the question.
Sorry, Jim, I'm trying to get you an email.
No,
that's okay.
Not this week.
He's not going to be on.
I have like tons of questions we haven't even read, so sorry, no email this week. But it does tie very well back into what we were talking about before about the bookstore numbers. This comes from Trans Reduction on Twitter. They say, when are comic nerds going to get over the fact that, are going to get over people of color, queer people, women, etc., being in comics? When are they going to get over? Instead of some boring old white dudes. Now look, you're talking to a table of boring old white dudes. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way first.
Yeah, we are old. Yeah, I'll agree with that. And yes,
I'm the oldest. Okay, yeah, I'll go there.
While my tastes as a reader tend to skew towards boring old white dude comics, right? The market has never been more served than it is now of comics for all sorts of people. Mm-hmm. Look at the all ages market. Look at the bookstore market. Comic book stores tend to skew, not all of them, but many of them tend to skew more towards the traditional demographic of comic book readers. Single issue superhero comic book readers. There are many stores that I see on a regular basis where they're like, oh, my best-selling comic is some independent book that is aimed at, let's say, not your traditional Amazing Spider-Man audience, right? So, I think that there are so many books out there now for people of every gender, race, creed, whatever you have.
I think they have. Well, in the recent years, they've skewed away from. They almost tried to take away the classic characters, and we've had this conversation before,
which I think was a big mistake.
Which I think was a big mistake. When we talked, we said leave the pillars, bring in the new ones. That's fine, but that doesn't mean you have to rip out.
Yep.
You have to rip away the classics.
Well, I've said for years,
everybody.
I've said forever. So. Yes, more is better. You don't have to get rid of Spider-Man and Peter Parker to have Miles Morales be a strong character.
Absolutely,
you don't have to get rid of Captain Marvel to have Miss Marvel be a character. Right? These characters build and grow on each other.
Absolutely, yes.
You can. If you want to get boring old white dude Ryan Higgins to read Miles Morales, you put him in an Amazing Spider-Man comic with Peter Parker because it's unlikely I'm not saying this, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Like you want to get the traditional readers more used to these new characters. The kids that are coming in, give it 15 years and the market's going to be so crazy different as the vast majority of people who grew up in the Silver Age will be gone. They'll be dead. Yeah. I hate to say it, but they'll be dead.
We'll have the Miles Morales and we'll have the Miles Morales generation.
Yeah,
we'll have the Miss Marvels.
Kids that grew up on the Avengers video game coming up on Miles Morales and Spider-Verse, right? When they're 30, Miles is gonna be huge. He's big now. He's gonna be huge then, right? But you don't need to get rid of Peter Parker. You don't need to get rid of Clark Kent, right? You just add to these families. And this is the great thing about comics.
Instead of getting rid of them, have them interact with them. Yes,
well,
absolutely.
Like again, going back to the Spider-Man video game thing, Miles Morales is in the video game as part of the storyline. It's not taking away from the story. It's part of the natural storyline of the game, and it works really, really well. Yep. I think the biggest problem, though, is I think this goes more towards kind of the toxic fandom that we have to deal with all the time.
Sure.
And honestly, fuck those people.
Yeah, of course.
I don't like having to have these dumb conversations about, well, they're taking this away and they're doing this. I'm like, whatever they want to do, whatever is they have coming out, we'll read it. Like, if you don't like it, don't read it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not, because, Tony Stark is dead and you have Riri Williams. I'm like, yeah, that's what you get. If you don't want to read it, go back and read it.
How many times has Tony Stark been dead?
Yeah.
But that's the whole point.
There is a huge difference between someone just liking the characters that they like and wanting to read Superman and Captain America and Spider-Man and Wonder Woman versus someone who's like, Marvel is, like the Comics Gate. Marvel is going bankrupt because they're publishing a Shuri comic. Well, look, if you want to look at the sales, and this is why Marvel and DC are pivoting towards all ages graphic novels, because these books don't sell very well in the traditional format.
Because the traditional format is still, like you said, dominated by
a Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
How many issues did that actually go?
It's going to run like it's 50 issues and nobody buys it, right? But making original graphic novels and prose novels aimed at the all-ages market is exactly what they should be doing with that book.
Yep.
And Shuri and Riri Williams and Miles Morales and all these characters, right? And I
think Miles is a different beast. Miles is one of those ones that he can be. They need to up his YA stuff, but he has been a part of.
Yeah. I'm not saying you shouldn't do comic books based on them that go into comic book stores, but your audience, right? And so those characters are better served in that market, who will then grow up with those characters. And if you're an adult and you want to read those characters, this material's still there, right? Marvel's tried, DC's tried. The books tend to not sell great as far as the overall market is concerned, but we've been told that they do very well in graphic novel format and they do very well outside the comic books format, which is why that's where they're going, to that market. There is nothing in these books. There's a difference between like YA and like books for babies, and that's not where they're going to aim, right? The Shuri comic will not be a book for like infants. That's not what they're doing.
They're aiming for the tweens and the teens.
Yeah, and that's going to be the perfect audience for them, and they're totally accessible to adults. It's going to work for that audience. But my subscribers, they get 35 weekly comic books and are buying the Archer variant covers, probably aren't also buying Moon Girl. Probably some of them do, but usually not. They're different audiences. So
I bought Moon Girl last week, not the first appearance.
Well, that's because you're a key shopper.
The biggest mistake Marvel and DC made was trying to replace characters when they should be adding to the
Absolutely,
characters.
Yes.
And so,
well, it's like Simon Baz. Like I bring up Simon Baz.
Yeah,
like
sure.
I really enjoyed his. They introduced him. He kind of went away. He joined the Justice League for a bit. And then, Jessica Cruz came on the scene towards the end of the New 52 stuff. And then what do we do with Rebirth? They were like, well, let's take these two characters that we kind of given a couple years development and just put them in their own book, because we're taking Hal and the core and we're combining it into that book. But we still want to have something work. And I'm like, I read those issues. I like those. I mean, some of them weren't as good as others. But overall, they were really interesting reads. Why? Because I was force-fed a character.
And we still don't have a Jessica Cruz figure or statue. Or a Baz.
No, we have a Jessica Cruz bombshell.
Okay, yeah.
They, it is difficult. I mean, we were railing on this when like Mosaic and all that stuff was coming out of Marvel years ago. We were like, guys, it's so hard to get people into new characters. You have to build this character up and give them something before you launch straight into a book. Even when DC's done this a few times where I'm like, look, I don't need like 18 Batman books.
And where are those characters now?
Oh, gone, right? I mean, yeah. A lot of these titles you need to, again, for the traditional comic book audience, there needs to be some build-up before you launch into their own series. There's a few books recently like Future Foundation. Who looks and goes, yeah, let's put out a Future Foundation comic? Like, there's just no audience for that book, right? There just isn't. It was canceled after like the first issue. It's only like 5 issues or whatever. It was canceled immediately just because the sales sucked, right? Because there's no audience, there's no interest in this title. So yeah, just support the books you like, and they do, because those books tend to sell in single issue formats very poorly for us and very poorly for most of the industry. That's not to say they're not good books; they just don't. Some of my favorite books still have sold very badly, right? So. Just support them and support stuff like them, but be aware that they're probably going to transition more to the YA stuff and a different format. But man, you put a Shuri original graphic novel aimed at a younger audience. We were talking about Disneyland earlier, and like the Disney stores, that thing's going to fly off the shelves, right?
I agree.
That's the audience.
Well,
the
thing is
40-year-old dudes walking in. Probably don't care about.
But the thing
is
like that's not saying
unless your name's Toby.
That's not to say that you're not going to sell that material or have that material in the store here.
I'll totally carry
it. You will carry it in the section that it needs to be carried in, and guess what? It'll fly off the shelves when that kid comes in and sees that book there. Boom, they take it. But is it going to be something that's flying off the shelves on a Wednesday?
Well, and you also have to think, right, that with the creators, do you give? Is it? The people that are going to, do you throw Artgerm and Tom King on it? I'm just throwing out names here.
Yeah, you are.
On a Shuri comic? Like, is it worth it? I mean, do they think there's a chance this book's going to sell well enough? Because that's not the audience for it, right?
Yeah.
When they've done
that, Artgerm might sell for one issue.
Yeah.
Well, so take the Harley Quinn Breaking Glass.
Yeah.
God, I can't remember the name of it was
Steve Pugh.
Steve Pugh's the artist.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the author. But you take something like that and the Raven book and the Mara Tidebreaker and all of these ink books that are no longer going to be ink books. It's the YA talent that's already there that they're pulling in to write these characters. And the thing is like, you read some of the interviews and, some of the that these creators have. They're excited and super stoked about being allowed to take these characters and kind of put their own spin on these. Mm-hmm. And they're definitely really, really good books. Like I genuinely I've read most of the ink books, and I've really enjoyed each and every one. Yeah, they're not the this version that I know completely, but they are of that vein of that version. Like, right now, if you're looking at Harley Quinn, you have the Joker Harley book, which is kind of the mad love story again, right? Just sexier with Sejic.
Oh, it's just Harleen.
Yeah, that's Harleen.
Yeah, Joker Harley's the
criminal one. Yeah, the criminal. So like you have Harleen, which is the sexy mad love, right? You have the Joker Harley, which is more of the this is a dark kind of murder, more serious. But again, that's the start of Harley Quinn and the Joker story. But then you take Breaking Glass, and that's she's in high school. She's on her own in the big city. Like what's going on? Who's she interacting with? Right? It's a similar feel to all the people that are in the main Harley book, right? You have all the outcasts and the freaks,
right?
She's with. But here it's like, she's hanging out with the cross dressers and like going to the cabaret shows that they have and stuff like that. Like I'm like, cool, this is awesome stuff. Like it's interesting, but again, people like, oh, I don't want that. I'm like, I'm reading Harley Quinn I'm getting all this Harley Quinn stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's just so many different takes.
It's different takes on a character that I enjoy.
Yeah. Well, and to wrap this conversation up, I mean, assholes are going to be assholes. Like,
fuck the toxic fandom.
They'll never get over it. Is the answer.
The wrestling thing you posted, the video that was
yeah. They'll never get over it. That's the thing.
No, they never will. They'll never let it go. That's the problem.
Just have to not worry about it.
So we just move on and forget them.
All right, that is a very long episode. Thank you guys all very much.
Are we longer than our Joker episode?
We are actually. Yeah.
Wow.
I have some good, we have our high-tier backers to thank. Thank you guys. Joe Duff, Sam Shea, Andrew Nelson Mendez over a Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast.
He probably reads a lot of anime.
I think he does. He reads a lot of anime. Oh, well, I guess you're always reading anime if it's subtitled. Craig Anderson over at craigpanderson.com. Check out.
We didn't even get a question from Craig this time?
No, nothing from Craig. Don't forget Jimmy Rivera, the Social Forum, FOUR, Forum podcast.
I need to contact him about being on for...
Oh, Jesus.
For an episode.
Oh, boy.
At single dad relationship advice.
At the Social Forum, that's the Social, FOURUM Forum, at thesocialforum.buzzsprout.com. And James Laws. Now, James, I got to get your specific info. I need it. DM me because I don't have the name and address and everything like that. He bought a comic store.
What?
He's been a listener of us for a long time, and he just had to do his first FOC. He takes over officially soon. James.
Oh man,
got a lot. We'll talk. Got a lot of good and bad. No, mostly good. So congratulations, and hit us up, and we'll. Like I said, I'm always happy to help out. ComicConspiracyPodcast.com, Geekbox.net, and Apple Podcast. So where you can find all our previous episodes. Always helps when you give us a little rate and review on there on Apple Podcast. Helps people find the podcast.
Or any of the places that you get your podcast if you rate us.
Make sure you check out youtube.com/comicsconspiracy. That is where you can find all our audio episodes, but we do have them on YouTube if you want to watch them on there. The Comic Conspiracy at Geekbox.net is our email. You can send us a long-form question if you want over there. Get to those from time to time. And, of course,
5 years down the road.
Patreon.com/comic-conspiracy is where you can give us some support on Patreon for a couple bucks a month. Every dollar helps. If you would like to purchase physical comic books from us, that is, of course, at comicsconspiracy.biz, B-I-Z. Make sure you make an account on there. That'll also you make an account at customer.comichub.com if you'd like to set up a subscription service with us. A lot of new additions. The customer site's basically back to the new normal. A lot of updates. Lots of cool stuff coming. Always been in contact with the guys over at Comic Hub, and they're
James,
working on
Comic
some good
Hub
updates.
is something you should probably.
Oh, he knows. He knows the hub. Head over to conspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos. You can go check those out. Wanders in the Fourth Dimension podcast. There's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. And LeanneHill.com. That is my wife, Leanne's
She's been doing some good stuff
website.
for Inktober.
Yeah, a lot of Inktober stuff up there. Of course, she also has a link to her Etsy store where you can purchase some of her original art stuff on there.
That's where you can also get commissions.
And your prints and commissions. Yep. We can also buy the prints here. If you're on Twitter, please give us a follow. Ryan Higgins, Brock Sager, Toby XI. He's not here tonight, but he'll be back. Insanity and Chaos is Charlie. CS Shea is Scott. That Kevin Sharp is Kevin. Jim is LD Exterminator. The store is Comics Con Store. Geekbox Comment and Button, Manga Machinations, and the Infinite Binge. Please check those out. That's some stuff our friends do. And next week, I'm just saying, if you run, let's say, a fan quote Twitter account, you're gonna want to make some time, okay? Because
well, I'm hitting the road again, so somebody else will be participating in the podcast.
This is just what happens. One person leaves, another person comes in. So while Jim is going to be going away, it's been great having you back on the last few
thanks
weeks.
a lot. I appreciate you letting me have
back
participate.
in town for the first time in a while.
Yep.
Throne of Lies.
We do have
in the Throne of Lies. Yes.
We do have a friend from the Great White North joining us. We did discuss Powers 6, by the way, and X-Men #1 today, and there's a reason for that, and you'll find out why next week.